What's going on, everybody? It's your boy ptkblam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. Yes, we're here. The Shop Podcast episode 366 is back. Another beautiful Sunday, man. This makes 3 weeks in a row for the Shop Podcast. That's a huge milestone considering we were gone for a few months, but glad to see everybody back. Once again, retweet the link. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live, and we will be here. We got a great, phenomenal show lined up. Great guest who just conveniently dropped in here, and we'll get to him. We'll get to the pleasantries. But shout out to chat. Shout out to everybody. What's up, Ghost Fixer? Shout out to you. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us, man. Every single Sunday here at the Shop Podcast, man. It's been a phenomenal ride, man. But let's get to some of these pleasantries. We're gonna go ahead and start with our guest, man. Like I said, conveniently, casually slid in here. But shout out to you, Logan. What's up, brother? How you doing? How you been? Glad to see you back.
Dude, I'm good. It's been a busy weekend for me. Apologies for sliding in like fashionably
good,
late.
Brother.
But dude, I'm ready to talk some games, man. How you been?
I've been good, brother. Good to see you. Always glad to have you here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other one half of XCP, man. Shout out to Luke. So I send my regards to Luke as well too. But glad to have you here, man. How you? What you been playing? What you been up to?
So funny thing. I tried Wu Chang and the Fallen Feather last couple days. And I realized like I'm really just bad at Souls games. Like I'm just not good at them at all. It took me forever. I died like 6 or 7 times to the first 4 like enemies in the opening area, and then I finally beat the first boss, and I was like, oh god, this is impossible. I'm not good at these. But outside of that, Sea of Thieves as usual. I did the review for Grounded 2 for XCP, so that was a lot of fun. I spent a lot of time in Grounded 2, awesome. And I don't know, I'm back on WoW for some reason. Warcraft has got me back in, so I've been going through Mists of Pandaria, and that's pretty much that's really what I've been playing a lot of. Probably shouldn't. It's bad.
Nah, it's all good, man. A classic, man. Once again, glad to have you here, Shat. Once again, you guys know Logan. All his information is in the description below. You guys go check out Logan. Once again, shout out to Luke, the other half of XEP, man. But like I said, Logan, glad to have you here. It's been a little while. I took a little bit of a hiatus, a little break myself, but glad to be back, brother. I'm recharged now, so glad to be back with the new energy. But shout out to you as well for hanging out with us. Thanks, Thatch, for dropping in chat as well too. But let me get it over to my brothers. I'll start with you, Mr. Pong. So, how you been? I know you got something. You got something to sell us this week. We'll get to that in a minute. But how you been? What you been playing? What you been up to?
Yeah, Brody. Great to be back. Sunday night. I love this time zone, man. I really am loving this time. It's perfect, man. Get all my meal prep done. Get everything ready for the evening. Get everything ready for next week, and then I slide right into this chair and get to hang out with my brothers. And tonight, haven't spoken to Mr. Captain Logan in quite a long time, so it's good to have him here. Always appreciate his opinions on everything that's going on in gaming. So we're gonna have fun tonight. It's been a week. It's been a busy week. Lots going on. But I've been in this boring rut. I've been selling you guys on Greenland for a long time. Yeah, a long time. 2 weeks. But something came out of the blue on Thursday, and I actually had to jump into it. I've had it wishlisted for a very long time, since we first saw it last year, in fact. So that is Titan Quest 2. THQ had their showcase. I had completely forgotten they were even having a showcase. I didn't have time to watch it at work, but all of a sudden I had caught the feed afterwards. Shout out to Hazador and everybody who posts all the kind of afterwards, everything that happened. And all of a sudden I see Titan Quest 2 has dropped into early access on Steam. And I'm like, excuse me, this is a shadow drop right here. And I've been waiting on this one, and $24 on sale, discount, $23.90 something. So I'm not going to go wrong there. Hey, listen, Titan Quest 2, AA action RPG, right? Titan Quest 1 launched in 2009. It has been everywhere, and then some. They had 3 expansions, some really great expansions. In fact, I've owned it on basically everything that I've had. Really good AA action RPG Titan Quest 1 was. Nobody ever thought we were going to get a Titan Quest 2, and then they surprise announced it last year at one of their showcases, and I got hyped. I wishlisted it. I've jumped into Titan Quest 2. I actually picked it up right away like I said I would. Jumped into it. I've got probably, I don't know, about 6 hours, 7 hours into it right now. It's freaking fantastic. They're not reinventing the wheel here, but they took everything that they learned from 16 years ago and just made it current. So the controller feels even better than it has. The graphics are obviously updated and beautiful. It's a top-down isometric Diablo-esque action RPG. Think on that level. They have expanded the skills. They have expanded the masteries that you can go ahead and do. And I am playing currently a rogue, and then I was surprised that they allowed me to get my secondary mastery like almost right away. So I am a rogue with lightning ice sorcerer build on the side right now, and I'm focused on a poison build. This game, anybody who hasn't played Titan Quest 2, again, it's AA, it's not AAA, but the graphics are beautiful now. They did a nice job with the backgrounds. Again, I'm not going to say it's up there with your Diablos, etc. I'm not going to say that, but I am going to say that they brought it up to speed. So there are some very beautiful atmospheric type levels to this. The quest so far, pretty standard quests. The thing with Titan Quest 2 is obviously it's set in Greek mythology. The thing is that you can be rolling along, right? And there is multiplayer too, but it's in really early access right now. They actually call it experimental for PvP, but it's really you can be rolling along just fine, killing the normal monsters everywhere and feeling pretty good about yourself. But you will get to a boss, and this was true for Titan Quest 1, and I'm playing on normal. You'll get to a boss, and you're going to get smacked around a whole lot. And you're going to wonder what the hell you did and if you need to change your entire build. I wound up at the first boss, quote-unquote boss, a griffin, smacked me around 6-7 times. I had to learn his patterns. You do have to dodge. You have to learn the patterns, and you have to take the shots where you can get them, and then you've got to run. So this is not the easy peasy type of action RPG. It does get difficult, and even the little guys, if they mob you enough. And now again, I'm playing rogue sorcerer, so I've got light armor on. Again, so again, I'm not playing a heavy build right now. I don't know how much better it is on a heavy build, but you get mobbed. You will get mobbed by the little guys, and if you get surrounded, you all of a sudden you'll notice your health is down to a sliver, and you better quick use it. So Titan Quest 2, THQ Nordic, shout out to THQ Nordic, pumping out games left and right, a ton of them that we want. Again, we got Darksiders 4 tease. A lot of people have been waiting on that, so that'll be coming down the pipeline. But Titan Quest 2 and Sacred 2 remake, by the way. Sacred 2 is another fantastic action RPG co-op. Mav had already hit me up and said we're co-oping, so that's coming down the pipeline too soon. But this was a nice surprise. Titan Quest 2, so far so good. Again, $23, $24. Like seriously, like if you like action RPGs, you like looters, tons of loot in this game. It's one of those games where you're constantly swapping out, you're constantly looting and powering up, right? So it's not one of those you keep the same weapons and you level them up. No. You're constantly getting new loot, got all the stats in there, all that good stuff. Really great game so far. Really enjoying myself with Titan Quest 2. So go check that out.
Nice. So we got something to sell this week. Shout out to Pong. Obviously, Titan Quest 2. I did see that in my feed as well, too. You know me. I'm interested in ARPGs of any kind. So I did see this game, obviously only on PC, accessible as of right now. Maybe later on down the line.
It'll be coming everywhere.
But yeah, for sure. So shout out to the developer making that game. I did see that as well, too. Looks great. So shout out to you as well, too, Pong. Always coming through. Everybody in chat, you guys are fucking amazing. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Once again, retweet that link. Let everybody know we are now live here at the Shop Podcast. But let me throw this over to Fuzz, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere. How you been? You were absent last week, brother. Hope you had a good, vacay, little mini vacation with wifey. But other than that, bro, how you been? What you been up to? What you been playing?
Oh man, I'm great. Glad to be here with you guys. Glad we got Captain Logan here today as well. Man, just been playing a variety of games, but still falling into my usual habits with Division 2, Forza Horizon 5, a little bit of GT7, and then actually picked up my Switch a little bit. Well, actually played it in docked mode because I picked up a 8-bit DO controller, so I don't worry about the Joy-Cons getting that drift early. So playing that on the was it Donkey Kong Bonanza on the big screen and stuff. But just been playing a lot of random games, watching PlayStation fans on social media lose their mind, and argue amongst themselves and, denying the stuff that they, claimed when Xbox did the third party deals and stuff like that, Xbox is dead, but wait, wouldn't that make PlayStation dead now? And then, and then they go into hiding. A few of them on milk cartons out there and stuff like that. But just having fun. plan on getting into some of these topics a good bit today, but man, oh man, it's a great time to be a gamer.
For sure. So yeah,
shout out to Shane G real quick in the chat, by the way, PTK. He brought this up, and I brought this up too before when we talked about it. The next Xbox, that's going to be the great thing about the next Xbox if they do this hybrid and they give you access to all these stores. That's the one thing I've said. All the console only players out there that do choose Xbox, all of a sudden they're going to have their minds blown by how many games are available on PC and all the different types of games that you are able to have access to. If Xbox pulls this off, that is going to be a special moment for the console only players, because you really don't have any idea. Again, Titan Quest 2 is only PC now, but it's going to be coming to console. The first one did, but still, just having access to all these types of games and getting in that Steam store and seeing those Steam sales and going, oh my God, I like action RPGs. There's like 1,000 action RPGs on Steam that I can try right now. Like, it is insane for people who have never looked at the PC side of things. That's going to be a big moment for a lot of people. So yeah, I just thought it was cool because Shane brought that up again, that Titan Quest 2 will be available. Games like that, next Xbox will be available to people right away. It's going to be nice.
Yeah. That is a huge feather in the cap for Xbox too. We'll get into that a little bit. We got a couple of topics to kind of associate with that, but man, shout out to everybody coming through, in chat. Shout out to Shane. Shout out to everybody hanging out with us as well, man. But we're gonna go ahead and get started. We got a lot to talk about, man. It's been a super busy week, and I want to dive into these topics. So we're actually gonna start with a really fun one. I know Gamescom is we're officially in August now, so Gamescom is actually this month, and we got a bunch of news about Xbox's upcoming showcase. Essentially, we already knew they were having a fan fest, which is a big deal. This has become a trend now, for us, Logan, that they show up to these events and they actually do a little more than what they maybe were slated to do. Every event this year, they seem to have like a big blowout, right? They seem to kind of push themselves to do a little bit more. They actually have a full-fledged fan fest at this Gamescom, like they usually do, and they have a full-fledged floor with like 20 playable games. And I'll actually, just for you guys, go down a list of some of the games that are playable, and I kind of want to get everybody's opinion on what the expectations are out of Gamescom. What do you guys want to see? Chat to you guys as well too. So, Hollow Knight Silksong, Borderlands 4, Onimusha Way of the Sword, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, EA Sports FC 26, Anemo, There Are No Ghosts at the Grand, Power Wash Simulator 2, Final Fantasy 7 Remake Integrate, Final Fantasy 16, Invincible Versus, Super Meat Boy 3D, Chronos The New Dawn, and Mistfall Hunter. So that's a phenomenal list. So I want to get your opinion on that. What is your expectation, Logan, just from Xbox at Gamescom? What are you excited about? The games that are going to be there? Obviously, they got the handheld, which is going to be a big part of the showcase as well.
Honestly, that's the biggest thing to me, is to get, because I know we've seen like some folks talk about, like from SGF, talk about like their hands-on and stuff from the Xbox Ally and stuff. But I want more people to get a chance to take a look at that, see how it plays. I have so many questions just based on the principle of like how they're allowing multiple ecosystems and platforms to be accessible through there, because that's really going to be like kind of my future for Xbox. Like, I feel like at this point, like I've got my PC set up here. It's really nice. It's the best Xbox I've ever had. And if I'm going to get another console, it's probably going to be like my Switch 2 and be like a hybrid where it's, like something that I can dock if I want to, if I can hook up an HDMI or something to it. The Xbox Ally is probably going to be the next opportunity for me to choose like where I go with my console space. But dude, they were showing things like the Blizzard Battle.net kind of launcher there. And, I play Sea of Thieves through my Battle.net launcher most of the time now. And I still have like World of Warcraft and Diablo 4, Overwatch. You got Hearthstone on there. Like, there's tons of games on there that some of them do work with controller. Others definitely don't. Like, you're not talking to people on controller playing World of Warcraft or StarCraft 2 or something like that. So I'm really curious. And shout out to Pong. We were talking as far as talking about like getting access to some of these other ecosystems, it's like, was Steam gonna have to like filter the games that are just accessible with the Steam Deck for people that want to play on like the Xbox Ally or the next Xbox like console? Like how is that going to work for console players? There's so many questions that I'm hoping we'll get some answers for at Gamescom. That, you know, I mean, as much as I'm excited for the games, I think the games are kind of like the known quantity right now. It's more the Ally that I'm just like, I want to understand this better, because just the preview, it speaks to like what's already on the market, and it's nothing that people are raving about the way that they're raving about the potential of like how this is going to feel compared to like the regular Ally. It's like ROG's handheld just isn't as comfortable compared to like an Xbox controller. So I really want to know, when more people get a chance to get their hands on this, like, is it going to be cool? Is it going to be everything that we want it to be? Is this the first kind of like building steps to get to like what the console is? You know, like where's gaming going to be for the future? Because as far as like we're concerned, we're probably all PC console master race people. Like we're ingrained in our box next to the TV or box under the TV kind of thing. But kids are jumping on tablets, they're jumping on phones, they're comfortable with touch screens. Like, where is the gaming going to go that it's going to try and draw in more of that mobile kid market, that younger generations are playing games there, while still fostering the needs of like the ingrained kind of like the millennials, the older millennials like myself, where we're kind of like still kind of hanging on to our controllers and mouse and keyboards kind of thing. So that's kind of where I'm leaning to as far as my excitement goes for Gamescom.
That's fair. A lot of good things were said. I do agree with a lot of that. The handheld is going to be a big part of it, though. Like you said, that's a lot of big question marks with that handheld. And like you said, what step is it? Right, we don't know. We do know that they were working on an in-house one. We don't know the current status of that in-house one. We do know that it's full speed ahead as far as the actual like home console goes. So you're right, right? That question does kind of rear its head as far as what step is this? Is this step towards a console? Is this another step towards what the final in-house product is going to be? Because in my opinion, Logan, to be honest with you, my vision for the in-house product was, I think, much more grand than what they presented with the Ally X.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I'm hoping it's something that really does kind of blur the lines between what you would consider a Steam hybrid kind of device or an Ally device, where it's like you can play any of the games that are available on those ecosystems, but you still kind of have to pop into each of those storefronts. Whereas I'm hoping with like whatever Xbox does, that the logins are all on the back end and the storefronts are all integrated into just like one screen that shows me, like, you know, even go back to the 360, you know, each blade could be like a different storefront if you really want to throw some nostalgia in there. And just let us think about those fonder years, and just kind of see like where it goes, where you just have access to the games. I think that's the important thing that I'm hoping with these kind of iterative steps towards the whatever the grand dream is over at Xbox, but that we just get the games and it's front and center, and we have access to it regardless of what login we've done at the start of like setting up the system kind of thing. And it doesn't give you the weird issues that I run into on PC, where it's like I boot on my PC and every time I want to get into my Epic launcher, I have to go grab the password from Google Chrome or something and like put it in and then hop back over to Chrome to get my email authentication and stuff. And I want that all simplified kind of thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. 100% true. I agree 100%. Like you said, it's very interesting to see Xbox take the step that we're even having this conversation, Logan, right? To begin with a handheld Xbox attached to it, right? Like that whole concept is crazy in 2025. 5 years ago, I'd have been like, they're never doing that. They're never even going to entertain that space at all. Nintendo has such a big hold on it that Xbox is like, nah, that's the one frontier that they'll never dare. And to see them actually decide to go this route, whether or not we get the actual in-house one, I don't know what the current status of that is. I know they've kind of parking lotted a few things there to make sure that they lock in on the actual home console. I know that's full speed ahead. They've confirmed that already. Looks like AMD has confirmed that already too. So that's going to be interesting. But let me throw this over to you, Pong. Gamescom is a big show this month. End of this month, we're gonna get a lot of stuff from Xbox. Just those announced games are crazy in of itself, but the handheld, like Logan said, is gonna be a big kind of front and center deal. So what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I'm excited as always for every showcase because I like to see the updates on the games, and it was a good list of a lot of games that we've seen. But I'm always looking for the updates, and then I'm always looking for the surprise that Xbox usually throws in there. They usually have one or two surprises, right, at each one of these showcases. So I'll be waiting on that. As far as like the handheld being front and center, all that kind of stuff, for me, as somebody who's not interested at all in the handheld as of this point, because I have no use for it at all, right? I want the next console. That's my next big purchase, right? And we're getting word that potentially they're going to have third parties make the first round of new consoles next year, by the end of next year, right? That's the new smoke. And then they're going to have their Xbox One come in 2027. So what I'll be looking for when they start showing this off is much like what Logan was referring to, is I'm looking for the integration in the new UI that they are revamping. Again, this isn't going to be final form. This is an ongoing process, but I want to see how they are progressing, because I like to start to speculate and kind of project out what that's going to look like, as Logan was alluding to, for the smoke that we've been hearing about that next box next to my TV, right? And what that's going to mean. And we talked about their vision for a long time and speculated on what that would look like for an Xbox. And I think to Logan's other point about, grabbing the younger crowd as well, that's all a part of getting this one singular UI across all devices, no matter what you're playing on. And it's all going to be seamless, and it's all going to act like an Xbox. That's why they're market pushes this is an Xbox, right? I want to see how this is evolving. I want to get an update as we get to see the ROG Ally X and what this is going to look like on there. But I also want to hear if Jason Ronald and his team's going to be there, or others, and see how this is actually starting to actually look in action, right? And what that might mean or entail in the future for all the next devices that are going to come out. And again, we're not going to know a lot of things because they're still obviously probably formulating the AI chips and that kind of stuff, which is going to be a big part of the future plans. Obviously, Microsoft has not invested this much in AI to not put it into all of their next consoles. But I want to see, kind of be able to look at this at these different showcases when they're going to have a device like this there, and start seeing that in people's hands. And I want to see somebody flip through. I want to see somebody log in. I want to see what that looks like. I want to see somebody log in, and like Logan said, then switch over to another storefront, and how seamless it is, how quick it is, right? How does that actually work in everyday kind of real life scenario with somebody, standing there on Wi-Fi? And so I think that's where my curiosity peaks when it comes to the handheld being front and center. But again, my excitement for Gamescom is always the surprises. Xbox continues to deliver surprises. We have now heard that there are potentially multiple other projects that nobody's heard of sitting out there still, obviously, to be announced. And so if we are going to get some, I don't even care if they're big games or small games, but look at how Oblivion's remake just showed up out of the blue. Right? Again, that kind of stuff, that to me was massive. Like, we started hearing the rumors about Oblivion remake, and I was like, holy cow, this is like big deal, but they're not making a big deal out of it, right? And had we not heard the smoke prior to it, it kind of would have been kind of just like a side announcement, like, here's the Oblivion remake, go have fun, right? So I want to know what they got else going on, and I expect they'll have one or two here as well. And who knows? I know Fuzzy will probably talk about it, right? There could be more, more hardware here in the form of, we need that new controller at some point. So I'm going to be looking forward to that. But I'll let Fuzzy get into that, because I know he always drops that one around this time as well. But yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to for Gamescom for Xbox.
Awesome. I love the focus on integration, because I think that's the big thing for all of us too. I mean, the handheld device is what it is, factor form, all of that stuff is important, right? It's hopefully it looks good, it runs good, but I think the integration is big because once again, it's uncharted territory for Xbox again. We've never been here before, with the handheld. So how are they going to merge everything together seamlessly and then integrate that with Xbox is, like you guys said, probably the biggest thing. But yeah, I'm interested in the game. Super excited for all of those games too. A great mix of games too. Xbox has really been cooking, man, with the stuff they've been able to bring to these shows. Phone. They've really done a damn good job with the third parties as well too that are on board to get a Hollow Knight Silk Song. This is the first place that we're gonna actually see video gameplay. Like, listen, if you guys don't understand how much the community enjoys that game, there's a large group of people that follow that game religiously. Every little bit of information they can get their hands on, they post it, they talk about it. It's almost like a myth at this point. And the fact that we're going to see that at a Gamescom, not a Nintendo show, not at the Keeleys, not anything like that, at a Gamescom Xbox showcase and get full-fledged gameplay is a big fucking feather in the cap, Pong.
Well, yeah, and that's why they cut the deal originally, right? We knew they've held these marketing rights for what? Yeah. When did we first hear? 2 years?
Oh,
3
man,
years ago?
3 years ago?
3 years ago now?
21?
Yeah. What?
22? 22?
22?
Yeah, 22? Yeah.
It's got to be three. It's got to be three. It's got to be right around 3 years ago. So yeah, I mean that was why they secured it at the time. Obviously, it was a big giant feather in their cap. It's coming to Game Pass, right? So and they got the marketing rights, and it was a big deal. Like you said, there is a huge audience. Now it's not my game, but there's a huge audience for it, and people have been waiting. But that was like a Nintendo game, right? That's like everybody's still been waiting for it to show up in a direct, and I'm like, you guys understand that Xbox still has marketing rights. It's not going to be at a Nintendo Direct more than likely first. It's going to be at an Xbox some type of show. And here at Gamescom, we're finally getting it, right? So it's going to be massive for that community. Can't wait. Again, those are the stuff, like you said, that they've been doing. And like I said, the one or two surprises, they've still been surprising us with Game Pass games. They've still been cutting deals on the side of stuff that we never even thought about. And there was a little smoke a couple months ago. I'll throw this in there before we gotta get fuzzy in here, but there was a little bit of smoke building a couple months ago about some Ubisoft titles dropping into Game Pass, because we know what position Ubisoft is in right now, and some of the newer stuff. There was rumors that Star Wars Outlaws and potentially Shadows could be dropping into Game Pass. So this is the type of place for those type of surprises as well. So, yep.
Facts. No, good point. Good point. So I want to make sure I get you in here, brother. We talked about this a little bit. I know we was in party chat earlier today. We kind of got into this a little before show. Once again, shout out to everybody watching live. You guys are awesome. But Fuzz, like Gamescom, you just heard the lineup. I went down the list.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome fucking list of games that are going to be on the floor. This is a theme now that's ever since Tina Meany and the team took over with these showcases and marketing, leading these things, we're getting better and better showcases. They seem to do more. They got a fan fest event here. We didn't even get a fan fest here in the States, but mind you, at the Xbox showcase, we didn't get a fan fest. So the fact that they're still doing one at Gamescom speaks volumes, right, to the amount of people that are going to be there, and they're super confident in everything that they're going to show. They're super confident to get all those hands-on with the actual handheld, which is going to be very important. Those first impressions are going to go a long way. They're going to go a long way. So where are you at just with Gamescom coming up this month?
Well, some of the big things that I'm looking forward to: official pricing. Like I think we all have a pretty good idea on the Xbox Ally and Xbox Ally X pricing. Hoping it's within reason, as some of the more recent leaks have shown. And having something like Silksong, like having a Metroidvania type of game when you offer a handheld is like a match made in heaven kind of thing. So having that potentially launch at the time when that handheld is released or shortly thereafter would be a big selling point, at least for those that may have been on the fence for like the handheld, because that's that style of game. Like those are the types of games I typically play on, like my Steam Deck. I've been looking for something to replace my Steam Deck, and that Xbox Ally is definitely looking like that might be the case. Not really waiting for a Steam Deck 2 at this point, because it looks like they might still be a year or two away from that. But we'll see how that goes. But like Pong had hinted as well, a new Elite controller. Like it's not that these things break on a regular basis or anything like that. Like I try my best to take care of them. The second one started having a rubber separation issue, and I bought a new faceplate for it, and that fixed it. But yeah, it would be nice to get a 3. I don't even care if they focus on haptic or not. Just a new controller, something updated that I'll actually put a good bit of use to. Because the my current Elite 2 is the only controller I really use. The other ones are pretty much for show, unless I'm on the road. That Elite 2 doesn't leave the house kind of deal. I bring a regular controller from when I'm traveling and gaming and stuff like that. But yeah, it would be nice to see some more hardware in that regard. But if they have any more surprises, like kind of like the rumors of like when Oblivion was being rumored to be remastered, we've heard some buzz about potentially a Fallout 3 getting a similar treatment.
If they
So
drop
having
that
that,
this year, yo, Fuzzy, if they drop that this year, that'd be crazy. Keep going.
and that's the thing. Like, what the show is not too far off from being released for season 2, right?
Yeah, season 2 is scheduled for next year, right? They started filming. Is it 2026?
Oh,
May?
okay.
I think May of next year is when it's scheduled for release. I think, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So somewhere in that neighborhood. But you would want to ramp up, or you save it for early next year, right? As an early drop next year as well. So
Yeah.
I think one of those two.
Yeah, and the whole Fallout series in itself, I think that's something that we'll probably hear some more info on other stuff that they're working on. Like, they shut down one of my most anticipated games in place of doing some more Fallout projects with that team. But yeah, I'm curious to see if they make any mention of another title that's in the works before Fallout 5. Like Fallout 5, I still think is going to be a bit of ways away, but something in the slot of like a New Vegas 2 potentially, without it necessarily being New Vegas, would be nice. But just in general, the lineup of games that they're going to have playable there, the fact that they're doing the Fan Fest still, the fact that they seem to go bigger each year that they've gone to Gamescom the past few years, and that's a show that's more so for the gaming community. I mean, yes, press goes to it as well, but when you compare it to like in the old days of the E3s and stuff like that, E3 was more so for industry people and media. Less until the very end for the general public and stuff, which they, I think, sold tickets on like the last day or something like that for general public. But the fact that this is open to the public, they're going to have a decent amount of floor space, some more games to show, some probably some new announcements, even if they're, like Pong said, even if they're not bigger titles, or maybe we get an update on something like OD, although I expect that more so for Tokyo's game show. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what other surprises will be under the tree before this year is out, because they've already spoiled us to death with everything they've put in Game Pass. And kind of like what Pong said, when it comes to Ubisoft, that would be nice, especially considering this is the one time Ubisoft titles didn't get a 50% off within the first couple of months. But all in all, I'm still looking to buy Shadows. I tried it out in the Ubisoft Plus and just want a little bit better price point than what it is at right now. But it was nice that they put RoboCop in recently, although I kind of should have known considering the sale that they had on the original prior. But I wound up picking it up anyway, just because it's not first party, it's not going to stay. So just owning that game and hearing everybody that's played that game give it its praise. Yeah, I definitely had to add that to the collection. But yeah, I'm interested to see what more games they're going to spoil us before this year is over with. And then after that, we got the Game Awards to look forward to, and the Dev Direct for early next year. But in the meantime, yeah, it's going to be another surprise or two that winds up in Game Pass before this year is out, and hopefully that Elite 3. I really hope they do that Elite 3. At least if they're not going to time it with the next console, go ahead and release it now and make sure it has all the features that the next console will have, instead of having to remap something like that share button kind of thing, what they did with the Elite 2 and stuff. But looking forward to the show. Can't wait.
For sure. That's a tricky.
We got Tokyo Game Show too, falls in September.
Yeah, there is
So,
that.
yep.
There is that.
Yep.
That is
They're always
tricky
there.
too. That is tricky too, guys, as far as talking about a controller, because the controller can potentially reveal, hint at, console features and things like that. So dropping that further out than the actual console release is tricky, right? Because you don't want to give too much away. You don't want to, people to get too many hints, about what's coming up. You know what I mean? As far as the next console, it's already enough people out there guessing anyway. But so that's very interesting. You're right, though. They typically do like controller things at Gamescom. That's traditionally what they do. So we'll see, man. They got a great games lineup. I'm super happy. This has just become normal for Xbox now. Pong, Fuzz, Logan. Like, let's be honest about these showcases. They've gone to every single showcases not empty-handed as well. Every single showcase they've gone to, and they've actually showed up and showed out at each showcase. Shout out to Blue with the 5 gifted memberships. Shout out to appreciate you, Blue. Thank you for that, brother. Train coming through real quick, Pong.
Choo-choo, motherfuckers. Choo-choo. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh, man, let's get it. Shout out to Blue for the 5 gifted. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate that. But let's get into something else, too. Something I would say a little bit more upbeat, and I know this is right down your alley, Pone. We've been talking about this. Actually, it's probably the 3rd week in a row we're going to be talking about this game, but we got a lot of news, a lot of shit that I was interested in to see.
BTK. We're
yeah,
back,
man. I think so. And you guys know what I'm talking about. You don't even need to hint, man. We're talking about Battlefield 6, baby, and all the information we got this past week. It was a full blowout. I'm super happy, super excited for the game. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. I know you guys have done shows since then, but I got to get everybody's opinion across the board, man. But but I think they did it again. All that gameplay footage I scoured YouTube for, all those hopes and dreams I had, I feel like my prayers have been answered. Now, we're not across the finish line yet, and this is still EA. So I do reserve a little bit of judgment, because we're not across the finish line just yet, right? We got a couple betas coming out, a couple closed betas, I think 2 of those, and then 1 public beta. So we'll see how this works out. But everything up until this point has been hitting that spot for me, has been right where I needed to be. Everything's looked where I needed to look like. I'm super excited for the team, EA, DICE. I think they got about 4 or 5 developers working on this game, by the way. So everybody who contributed to this game seems like was all on the same goddamn page. And I got to give Vince Zampella a little credit, Pone. We got to make sure Vince gets the proper credit. Now, like I said, he ain't got it across the finish line yet. It still is not released. So until we get this thing in our hands, everybody gets a chance to play this thing, we're not quite there yet. But by and large, Pone, this looks like this is exactly what Battlefield needed. And listen, let's be honest, the amount of attention it's getting, I believe there was over 800,000 people watching that stream on Twitch, which is insane. That's fucking insane for like middle of the week stream. That's crazy. So the energy is back. And I keep telling people, this is why Battlefield, Halo, and Call of Duty will never go anywhere, because you will never get these experience with any other shooter, no matter how bad those games are, because they've all been bad at the same time and they've all been good at the same time. And we've been through those periods with every single one of them, but nothing's replaced those 3 as well too, like I keep saying. So let me throw this over to you first, our guest Logan. Battlefield 6, brother. I don't know how big of a Battlefield fan you were or are, but are you excited about the game? Where you at with just EA? You feel like Battlefield is back?
Dude, I was watching the streams that they had on when they were kind of like did their announcement, because I wanted to get that code to get that early access for the beta weekend next weekend. Because yeah, dude, I used to play a lot of Battlefield 4 like on PC. Like that was man, I never got into COD. I was more a Battlefield person. So 3 and 4 are like the ones that I go back to. I was stoked for 2042 just on the premise that they were going to be doing like the 128 person lobby, and I was like, dude, that sounds wild. It sounds like hell let loose at that point. But it came out and it's gotten to a better place, but it never really sold people on what Battlefield always was. Having seen this one in action, I feel a lot more confident that they understood what folks enjoyed most about Battlefield. And I think that's why I'm excited for this, is just because it harkens back to when I was playing like Battlefield 3 and 4. And like, that's cool. And as much as I love COD for what it does, it tries to pull in a lot of like what people like about IPs and stuff, and they put them in their game, and it's going to like be pro or con depending on if folks want to see those in their kind of realistic military shooters. Seeing Battlefield come out and just be like, no, we're not going to bring in anything weird as far as that. Everything's going to be grounded in a military realistic kind of environment, so it feels like visceral when you're on the battlefield and you're going to do that. So I was happy to see like where they're going with it, and the promise that they've put. It comes back to that story of like, I'll buy it when it's released. I'm not going to pre-order it, but I am looking to see where we go with it in the future. $70 for a multiplayer game in this day and age, when we still have like titles that are, in the neighborhood of a decade old, that are still putting out content on a regular basis. It's gonna have to be like, people I know are playing it, people I know are enjoying it, and people are going to stick with it because we're still getting Call of Duty.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to mention that too, Logan. I'm glad you brought that up, and I don't even know if you were done talking. If you weren't, I do apologize for jumping in here.
Jump in.
This whole idea that Call of Duty is going anywhere is a fool's error. Call of Duty isn't going anywhere. That is a waste of your time if you think because Battlefield is in a great spot, Call of Duty is going to disintegrate. That's not the case. It never has been the case. These are two completely different games. There are still people that are just going to prefer the gameplay that COD gives you because they are that different. And that's what makes them unique experiences. So like I said, we've been through this before. I know there's some people saying, man, what is COD going to do? What I hope COD does is look at itself in the mirror and say, how can I be better? I think that's what we all hope, ultimately at the end of the day. Now, I don't know. The community is a very large, diverse one. So better means a lot to a lot of people, Logan, right? You got a lot of mouths to feed. You got a lot of people to make happy. So good luck with that Call of Duty. It kind of comes along with the territory, but they're going to have to figure it out. And hopefully this game does so well that it causes Activision to stop and say, you know what? Maybe we can take a look. Maybe less is more, right? Like, yeah, maybe we will get back to just boots on the ground, right? Like, you never know. Just whatever that is for Call of Duty, I hope that that's the effect that Battlefield has on it. So let me throw this over to you, Pong. I got to get your opinion on this, bro. I know we've been talking about this, like I said, 2 weeks straight, from the campaign to the multiplayer, and we got everything we needed to hear. You were already sold. I know it. We talked about it multiple times, Pong. But just, I know it. You already locked in, bro. You probably already got your sick time in, everything, PTO, whatever you need to do to get that little time frame off. But where you at on it? Matter of fact, I think you guys are playing this weekend. You and Steel, right?
Yeah. We're gonna be all over it. Mav and I might be playing Thursday night as well.
Nice.
So for the Thursday night show, we might be doing that. So we'll let Mav decide. But he was hinting that might be what we're doing if the servers are going good, right? And I'm probably gonna take off Friday. If the servers are up and running, I'm gonna probably take off Friday and play the beta. It's gonna be a beta weekend for sure this coming weekend. You guys all know my love for Battlefield. I am the dude who will continue to pre-order. I pre-ordered 2042, the big edition. I'll be pre-ordering the Phantom edition for Battlefield 6, flat out. No questions asked. Unless the beta is absolutely horrible, right? Unless the beta is absolutely different from what we just saw this week. I could sit here and do a whole show on Battlefield 6 and what I saw. I made sure to pay attention during the whole main course this week when they were doing the breakdown while I was at work, and then I had the next two and a half hours of gameplay up in the background while I was working, and I was watching it on and off, and then I went back and actually watched more of it, and I've obviously been paying attention to all the clips. There are things that need to be fixed already, but I'm not even going to focus on that. The thing I want to focus on, again, is Zampella and his history with these games. Again, if anybody doesn't know, Zampella is one of the main dudes and the reason why Call of Duty is so big. He was a Call of Duty guy. That was his start. And since that point, his reputation has only grown. This man is obviously one of the best leaders in the industry if he pulls this off. That the way we think he's going to pull this off from everything that we've seen, he is well established as one of the best leaders, and this will be the cherry on top. This man is in control of so many things over at EA that I know, why people, and like you said, PTK, it's EA. So, anything can go wrong because it's EA. And I get that. And I've seen people say the same thing. And Steele and I were talking about this, and we had people in our chat talking about it as well, that EA, yeah, but it's EA. Zampella's EA is different. And there's a reason why, because the dude gets it. He understands his assignments. And again, he brings together people like nobody's business. And I'll go back a couple weeks ago when we were talking about this, and there was smoke around the trouble internally they were having with Battlefield 6. We know they closed down that one new studio early on that was going to actually do the full campaign. They had created a whole new studio out in Washington. I forget the name of it off the top of my head right now, but they closed it down early. And then smoke came out from Schreier and others. There's crunch. People's work-life balance is off. People are burning out. And I went on all the shows at that time, and I said, that's the way games used to be made. Zampella's an old school dude. And I know we like to be all nicey these days, and this whole industry's changed, and poor devs, and can't have crunch and gotta have work-life balance. But some of the best games made were made under conditions that most devs nowadays would never be able to handle in their right mind. But that's when when they squeeze the most out of the creatives and things come together. And it looks like that's exactly, if the turmoil is real in the background over Battlefield 6, that's exactly what's happened here. And I think that Zampella got the best out of his people, 5 or 6 studios, whatever the total is, working on it. And I'll go back to what I said too, what I called out and others called out, just in the title card itself. Zampella used the Battlefield 3 font for Battlefield 6. That was completely intentional.
Small indicator.
Completely intentional on his part and on the team's part. Zampella knew he had to go back to the roots. That's what all they've talked about. Every interview with him or with the other devs has been, we're going back. When I watched what, they finally did the deep dive, and then I watched the gameplay, as Logan said, and then I went and read what old school Battlefield fans, some who have abandoned the franchise and some who have stuck it out like I have. I started reading other people, and hardcore, I'm talking about, pro gamer style Battlefield players. To a T, they all said this looks like a cross between 3 and 4. You can't get, now, I will say Bad Company 2 is still my favorite of all time.
Mine
so,
as well.
Right. So, but I will take that comparison all day long. You are talking about the peak of Battlefield. And so the fact that so many people have called that out, and again, there are things that need to be adjusted. Okay, there are things that popped up in the gameplay that, had people scratching their heads. But this is not the final form. It's not even close to the final form. They're going to continue to work on this. I think what they've done here is nothing short of stupendous. And I think that we're going to witness this. I like the fact that they also did something that I called out way long time ago when we started talking about Battlefield. I said all along, I don't care if you guys come out with a small number of maps, as long as you make those maps great and then build from there. What did they do? 9 maps to start out, right? 9 maps to start out, but those maps look phenomenal, right? And then they got the portal. I'm not even going to get into the portal right now. The portal's going to, if this game hits PTK, if this game hits the way we think it's going to, it's not going to be a Call of Duty killer. I'm done with that conversation. That conversation's always been stupid. No. Let me tell you, as somebody who was around during peak Battlefield, it still wasn't a close competition, right? In the terms of sheer numbers, it still wasn't a close competition. Call of Duty is going nowhere. But what it did do was force Call of Duty to look over at Battlefield and make adjustments to their games back in the day when Battlefield was in the conversation. And that's what's been missing. That's why we get Beavis and Butthead skins. That's why we get this nonsense that everybody's complaining about on Call of Duty, because they haven't had to deal with a Battlefield that was firing on all cylinders. If Zampella does that alone, like I said, I think I said this a couple weeks ago too, if he gets 75%, 80% of the way to the old Battlefields, that will put pressure on Call of Duty like you were talking about. It's not a numbers game. They're not going to all of a sudden kill off Call of Duty. It's not all of a sudden everybody's going to flip a switch and everybody's going to walk on over there. But there will be a large group of old school Battlefield fans who do prefer Battlefield, just like I do. I play both. I like Call of Duty for what it is.
However, Battlefield is always going to be the game. There will be that group of people who spend more time at Battlefield this time around, right? And they will see that in the stats of Call of Duty a little bit. It's not going to be, again, it's nothing that's going to all of a sudden collapse Call of Duty, but they will see that and they will make adjustments. I can guarantee Call of Duty is going to be looking at what Battlefield does this year and make adjustments. So I think this is just a phenomenal showing. I love the deep dive. I love that Zampella looked at Call of Duty and said, hey, let's do a breakdown like Call of Duty does. And then let's bring in a bunch of people and have them play for like 2-3 hours and just stream the shit out of it and let everybody see this stuff live. No cuts, no nothing, just full on gameplay about what we are producing here. The destructibility is back, PTK. They're calling it strategic destruction now. Listen, when I saw them C4 the floor to shoot down at the guys that were entering the building, I was like, holy shit, we are back. Like, this is beyond, like, this is what? Let's go. That stuff, the chaos, PTK, the chaos of the situations that people were finding themselves in because of the rubble flying everywhere, the dirt, the debris, the jets flying overhead. The sound is pristine. This might be even one of the best sounding Battlefields, and that's saying a lot because Battlefield has always been king of the sound. Every little thing that I saw without putting my hands on the controller, without actually being in game, looks fantastic. Again, there are things that need to be adjusted, absolutely, but everything that I needed to see was here in full color, in wide open action, and again, no cuts, not trimmed and proper. Oh, we're gonna give you the short slice, vertical slice of the gameplay. No. We got raw gameplay, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. The physics going crazy, like tanks flying in the air. That is a part of Battlefield. People look at that and go, oh, they got to fix. No, they don't need to fix it. That's like the Elder Scrolls. That's like the Bethesda bugs. There are certain things that are character for that game. Battlefield has always had wild physics and shit happens that's really weird. That is a feature, right? That is not a bug. That is a feature. And I was seeing classic versions of that. Again, I could talk forever. Battlefield is back. I'm done whispering it. I will let you guys know when I play the beta, and I'm going to play a shit ton of the beta. And for anybody who doesn't know, by the way, you're able to earn different stuff both weekends, and they are different sets of camo and that kind of stuff. So you get to actually earn stuff for the betas. I love when they do that as well. But I'll be playing a shit ton of the beta. Obviously, for the next 2 weekends, next weekend and the following weekend, I will have a lot more to say about it when I get hands-on. But Battlefield is back. I'm done whispering it. It is back. In Zampella, we trust, and I think he's going to stick this landing, and I think they're just going to grow this out from here. I know people are already complaining, oh, Metro's not there, all these maps that everybody wanted. Bro, they got years of content. If this hits, they're going to be pumping out maps left and freaking right for us.
You got the labs anyway,
going to
too.
be there. The lab is going to be there, and again, what I was saying is if this hits and you get a big group of people back in Battlefield on a consistent basis, that portal, the way they're doing it, they're actually using a different engine. How these devs all of a sudden have figured out how to start building engines on top of other engines is crazy to me. We saw this with the Oblivion remake, right? It's crazy how they're doing this and I want to see how they actually kind of did this. The Godot engine is completely different than the Frostbite engine. And they somehow built it so that people can go ahead and get in there and customize entire levels. And I know they were showing some weird, wild, wacky stuff. I want to see the actual sim-like stuff that people are going to put in there when they build out cities and kind of get a battlefield together, pun intended, obviously, a battlefield together where they go hardcore, right? Where we go no vehicles, right? Or we go all tanks, right? Just flat out. Like, that's the stuff I can't wait to see what people create. And if they get this fan base back, man, I'm telling you, it's going to be unlimited as far as the content goes. It's going to be much like Halo, and their customizable stuff and what people are going to be able to bring to the table. Oh, man, it's going to be good. But yeah, shout out to Zampella. Shout out to the team. Everything I needed to see was here. Just a great showing. Just a fantastic showing. The classes are back. The fact that they are going to, I'll end it here, the fact that they are going to honor both the locked and open weapons. They're going to honor both of those. I don't like the fact that it's going to split the base a little bit, but the fact that they're giving people the option to play with a locked weapon system to the classes or an open weapon system says that they are listening, and I'm happy. I am ecstatic that they did that. I am a locked weapon guy to the class. If you pick sniper, you're running, you got to run sniper, right? If you're if you're running engineer, right, you're running SMG, right? That kind of stuff. I'm glad, or LMG, I should say. I'm glad they brought that back. And that was one of the big pieces I needed to see. So just again, hands down, they're just doing it great.
Yeah, they killed it. There's a lot to look forward to as a Battlefield fan. And there's some great points. Shout out to the $2 dono. Jay Rember said hit the like button. Yeah, appreciate you guys, man. Shout out to Jay for the $2 donation, bro. Thank you so much for that. But yeah, I'm with you on that one, Pong. They nailed it. I'm the kind of guy that I don't know what I want from this kind of game. For them to show me what they've shown me, I'm ecstatic. I can't be more excited. Oh, also another big deal about this game too. Let's not forget that it is next gen console only. So this is not no PS4, no the Xbox One or anything like that. So they finally let that go, which means that, they're leaning into the new tech, which means that, they're trying to push this thing as good as it, or to be as good as it can be on this new tech. So,
and they confirmed 60 frames
too.
and they confirmed 60 frames for all consoles, including Series S. And they are going to have a VRR mode with unlocked frames as well for console. So that's always good.
They've thought of everything. They thought, I saw another, I believe she's the community manager. I don't remember, but she was asking about browser servers and things like that too. So they're really super engaged. They've been like listening to the community, and that's really what you want to see. And I think that's the most impressive thing, and that's the biggest thing I want to give Vince kudos from, is that getting everybody locked onto one idea. They've seemed to take very seriously the feedback they've gotten. They were very quiet about this. There was a bunch of promises, then a bunch of shit afterwards. No, it was, let's take all of this feedback. Let's go make the game based around this feedback, or as close as we can get it. And then let's put it out to the people and let them tell us how good they feel about it. And it seems to have hit on all fronts. I think this thing is going to be massive. It has a chance, in my opinion, to do some massive numbers on Steam, on Twitch, on all of the platforms. I think word of mouth is going to be good because, listen, this game is old enough now. There's a generation of kids that didn't really get these Battlefield moments, that didn't get to play Battlefields. Yeah, the ones that we're talking about that didn't really play them. They were 10, 9, 8 years old. They didn't really get those experiences. So, mind you, there's a whole new audience now that they're appealing to. So let's not forget. You know what I mean? So I'm super duper happy about this. But for us, we talked about this pregame as well a little bit too. Battlefield is back, man. It's seemingly in a very, very big way. I know we didn't really get into the other side. You mentioned it was labs. We didn't really talk about that a whole lot, but that's an interesting prospect as well. Basically, Forge for Battlefield, right? If you had to make a comparison, something along those lines. Not a quite one-to-one, but about as close as it can get. But where you at on all the Battlefield news? You day one beta?
I got to figure out how I can get into the beta. I didn't get any of the codes because I didn't watch the streamers on Twitch for it. But considering with the Game Pass and the EA Play stuff, for the most part, I'll probably wind up doing at least the 10 hours if I can't, get a beta key. Although I'm pretty sure they're going to do an open beta a little bit later. I forget what the scheduling is like for those beta runs, but
they're open betas. So just the early access was the only thing that you couldn't get. So next weekend, Saturday and Sunday will be open beta, and then the following weekend will also be open beta. So it's just the early access part that you had to get the code for.
Okay, so I'll definitely be in both of those because I love everything I'm seeing so far. The destructibility is the key thing. And it looks like vehicle destruction into the buildings is also a factor. Like the one thing I used to get mad about with, at least with 2042, is that sometimes you're either out of missiles or your plane's going down anyway. You can kind of aim for people, but you couldn't really aim for buildings because it wouldn't really do any damage or any explosion that would get any kills or anything along those lines. But it looks like that can definitely, if all else fails, just ram the building or take down the sniper perch and keep on moving kind of deal. The destructibility, the customization, like a Forge mode with using that Godot engine, which I'm kind of surprised because Godot was like competition for Unity for the longest time, but it was like way behind visually in comparison. But it was always great for tools when it came to customization. So I'm wondering if they're running their engine as far as for the visuals, and the Godot stuff is what's running behind the scenes to make it so we can easily write our own scripts as far as how many buildings, how many players, and stuff like that. So it'll I won't say it'll be completely easy, but it'll be a lot easier making custom matches, much like you can do in some of the bigger, war sim type games like Squad and stuff like that. So really looking forward to seeing how that plays out. But overall, just everything that we've wanted from a Battlefield with 2042, minus the hurricane and whatnot type of deal. It looks like they got everything that we would probably want in this one. And they have the lock weapons, but they have it where they'll also have matches where you can have open weapons. So for those that don't want to, stick to, strict, I guess, operator, well, not really operator, but like strict, class, type play and stuff like that, whether you're a demo or, going for sniper class and things like that. You don't need a rocket launcher if you're a sniper kind of deal. And you don't need a sniper rifle if you're demo. So I'm glad that they're going to give players those options if they want to have that. But yeah, just the overall visuals, the destruction, the fact that it looks like the close combat stuff is on point. I'm curious to see on the bigger maps as far as the cover or lanes of coverage. Although when it's all said and done, with everything being destructible or a good bit of it being destructible, there's not going to be much. Yeah, it's not going to be much cover, but I like that for the fact that if somebody does decide to hide behind a berm or whatever, just keep blasting at it or rocket launch it, and eventually it goes away, kind of thing. And that's what I prefer, as opposed to where it's more open fields and the sniper picks you off as you're trying to do squad movements from broken down car to corner of the building type of deal. Yeah, everything looks awesome, but I'm waiting to see how it plays in the beta, because 2042 pissed me off when it launched with its beta and people were hiding in like oil tankers and shooting out and you couldn't shoot in. The hit detection was a bit off. It just didn't seem like they had many areas for cover. So you're kind of having to flank all the way to the left or right to finally get to where you actually want to go to assault the or take over the control point and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm hoping this does well for EA, just for the fact that not that they could stress out Vincent Pellis some more for more stuff that they want to bring to fruition as far as games in good playable order, but it just goes to show at some point he should probably be the CEO for EA. Not saying that would fix everything with EA, but that would probably help a good bit. So that way he's not always having to be hands-on himself. He can kind of pick his own team to have who he wants to kind of, pick up the reins from there type of deal. But I'm looking forward to it. The beta will decide whether I, am a day one buyer or not, or pre-order it or not. But it's looking like it's going to probably be a pre-order. I understand the servers are going to probably be swamped, because Battlefield servers are always swamped, no matter how much they try to account for how many players. Oh, we think we're going to have 2 million this hour. No, they're going to have 8 million. So it's going to be one of those deals where maybe that first day of the open beta might be a little sluggish, but man, if they can get the servers on point from day one or launch day for the beta, then I think everything else from there should be golden. That's probably going to be their hardest part, but at least from what we've seen so far, it looks like they got everything else nailed down. But I don't know. It's EA. I'm apprehensive a little bit, but like I said, the beta will be the way I can determine if EA is up to their shenanigans, or if this was able to rifle through the way it was supposed to. Because it was Jedi Survivor was another one that kind of pissed me off, where all the reviewers were giving it 9s and 10s, and that day one patch didn't fix crap for me. So yeah, I had to hate play or hate finish that game, because and that was part of the I will not spend any more money with EA. I think it was Unbound or something like that. I had issues with, where it kept on shutting off my Series X. Then 2042 was not a fun experience, at least in the beginning. And then with Jedi Survivor, that was like the last straw. I was like, they don't need my money. I'll just wait until everything goes into EA Play at that point, or goes to the vault. But this might be an exception to the rule, so we'll see.
All right, man. Listen, this game looks amazing, man. And like I said before, I've dug up as much footage as I could possibly find, whether it was pre-alpha. I didn't give a damn what part of or what phase of the game it was in. I just wanted to see as much as I could possibly see. And just as a fan myself, being a long-time Battlefield fan, now I'm with Pong on this one. I'm a Battlefield Bad Company 1 and 2 fan. Those are my two favorite Battlefields. I played the most time in those as well. So that's where my digs are at, but I played a fuck ton of 3 and 4 too. And this absolutely looks like a perfect hybrid between the two, obviously with new and improved features, graphics, things like that as well too. So we'll see. And like you said, one of the few things that can derail this, unfortunately, is, how the rollout's going to be. And you can't really control that, right? They don't necessarily, I mean, you got pre-orders and wish lists that gives you a general idea of how many people are going to be playing, but you don't fucking know until you open them doors. And I guess that's the scary part. That's really I think, personally, the last big hurdle they have to get over. It looks like they've nailed everything else to my estimation, based on everything I've read, watched, everything. They've nailed everything else that's important to me. So that's the last obstacle. And I think if they nail that, we're looking at a massive launch. I think bigger than anything in recent memory from a shooter, I think. I don't even think it'll be close if this lands. I'm talking PUBG stuff. You know what I mean? Like 2 million Pong, Fuzz, Logan, 2.5 million concurrent, stuff like that. Like big numbers. So
maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot, like I said before, that's riding on that as well too. There's a lot of variables. But I'm not. Now listen, I'm not saying they're gonna hit that 100 million that the executives want.
I mean, I was just gonna say the execs want that, so they better have enough servers. If I was Zampella, I'd be like, "Oh, you guys want 100 million? So yeah, we should probably have servers to cover that."
Overcompensate, way overcompensate. Like let's just put let's 10x that 100, by the way, just in case. You never know, right? So so I do want to ask you guys another question before we move on from Battlefield, but this is more of a just gamer shooter question, not anything too fucking technical. So one, I need to know, what classes are you guys' favorite? What's your favorite class to play in Battlefield? Okay, and as well as, like, do you guys always prefer to roll in like a full party? What was your preferred way to play? Did you guys always have a group, or were you guys more Lone Ranger? And I'm gonna start with you on this one, Logan. I gotta know, what's your class that you used to play most in Battlefield? What'd you roll with? Why?
Always support, man. Always support.
Okay.
Something about, I don't know what it is, but there's something, and that's kind of why I'm excited for the Battlefield 6 stuff, because they were talking about the Dragon defib like opportunities there. But I don't know, man. I get a sick satisfaction of like giving someone who just barely lost a 1v1 or something, like a chance to come back. So I'm always looking for folks that need to get revived out on the field. And just like the kit that they bring always kind of favors me. I'm not like one to kind of mess around too much with the SMGs. Like I like my LMGs, and I like them in COD as well too. But I'll totally like outfit most of my COD weapons to have like the extended mags and the stability and stuff, and just kind of like, if I can't, I'll just spray and pray. That's kind of my go-to.
Nice.
But yeah, dude, no, I love running around and just seeing like if I can get someone back up on the feet, especially with a squad. I like coming in clutch with that. So, and I'll go in solo, or I'll go with a crew. If a crew's playing, I love jumping in with some folks and just kind of seeing like, where are we going to move to? Where can we make a difference? And having someone be support for that, like trying to backdoor one of the points or something, it's like it makes all the difference in the world if you got one dude kind of hanging back, just like help and support to kind of capture something, because you can always have like some dude come in and do knock one or two people out, they get cleared, but then you got to wait for them to drop in. But if they're still down, then it's like I can just go run over, defib them, and get them back up on their feet, drop some ammo or something. We can stay in this and kind of hold the point for a little bit longer till we get some backup on us.
Nice. I like that. I never would have guessed support. But that's awesome, brother. So I'm more of a support guy myself too. I'm more of a support. No, to be honest with you, I'm definitely more of a support player myself. I did roll with the SMG quite often. I was fairly aggressive. That just carried over from Call of Duty. I know they play differently, but my play style kind of carried over a bit. I was more of a rushy, clear, kind of clear everybody. I played it damn near like an assault class, to be honest with you. But there was a lot of factors in it too, depending on if I was playing with capable players or not. Too, sometimes I just didn't play like the class was set up to play because I couldn't. I couldn't, so I had to maybe be a bit more aggressive thing. And that's the cool thing about Battlefield 2, right? You could be like, sometimes you have to play differently on the fly. Right, like you're set. You're a recon guy, right? You got a sniper. That's your job, but you might be in a situation where you got to pull out that pistol. You know what I mean? Like you might. That's the moment to moment stuff that Battlefield gives you, that Halo can't give you, that COD can't give you, and that's what makes it special, makes it stands out, and that's exactly what Pong was talking about as far as those moment to moment things that you just can't get anywhere else. So even though I was more of a support player, there were times where I had to be very aggressive. So
yeah.
But Pong, I gotta know, man, what's your class? What you rolling with?
Yeah, support. Medic all the way. Number one. That's what it is, man. I know it's weird. It's weird. It's weird. Like the people, it's funny to hear Logan say it and then you say it too, PTK.
Yep,
but it is weird because there's this thing about Battlefield that a lot of people don't play support. But but then I talk to people like Steel. Well, let's be real. Steel's on another level, but he could play any class. But he loves playing medic as well. There is nothing better than dodging bullets and getting up and rezzing somebody and watching it watching you and your squad go on to take the point back. Like there is, again, those are those Battlefield moments, and there is nothing better. And now, like Logan said, with the ability to drag somebody, that is going to be freaking amazing because, like I was talking about on Saturday, there's nothing like more nail biting and frustrating too at the same time that you dodge a billion bullets and grenades and tank shells and you get to the person and then you are rezzing and you take a sniper bullet to the skull and it's over with. And it's like, I was so close, a fraction from getting them up. Now to be able to pull them behind cover is going to be amazing. So number one is support. Number two is engineer. If the tanks are out, and the tanks are pissing me off, or if the helicopters are pissing me off, I'm going engineer. And you're getting C4, you're getting rocketed. I'm laying mines down. That was one of my favorite things that kind of got lost was minefields. I hope that's back in this because I love laying down minefields. There's nothing better than laying down minefields somewhere on a road, someplace that they're going to start going to a point at, and you're wandering like 10 minutes later, and all of a sudden, that multi-kill pops up with the 3 skulls, and you just took out a tank. They ran over your mines. There is no better feeling than that in the world. So yeah, I support number one, engineer number two, man. And I love my LMGs, so that is also an added addition to support. I am an LMG player, so I do love being able to lay down cover fire too at points. So yeah. No, there's just nothing better in Battlefield. And to answer the second part of your question, rolling with a squad of friends, yes, absolutely. That I will roll. I played Battlefield by myself back in the day as a single player and played with randos, and it can be good, it can be bad.
It's a mixed bag.
it can be a mixed bag, but again, that's the thing when people learn how to play Battlefield. Again, Battlefield in its prime, it was a lot less bad because everybody was there to play Battlefield the right way, because that's the only way that you really do get wins. You got your sniper guys who are going to go camp somewhere. That's fine. Like, they're going to do their thing. But honestly, for the most part, that people that play Battlefield on a regular basis understand the team game, even when you're not mic'd up, even when you're just playing with randos. But obviously, if you got a friend squad, when we were rolling 2042 and we had our squad, like even for as many problems as 2042 has, there is nothing better than, again, I will always say this is why Battlefield is number one to me. You have a great squad. You jump into a game that's already started. They plop you into a game because people have quit out. The squad that you get put into is 200 tickets behind. You roll up with your squad. You guys know how to play Battlefield. You start taking a point, and then you take another point, and all of a sudden you see the tide of battle change. That's what 1 to 2 good squads in a Battlefield game can do, can completely alter the game from where it was going. And when that starts to happen, that you just know you were the domino. There's very few games that do that, unless, again, if you're a singular, type of COD player who is just a pro elite and you can just dominate a field, sure, of course. But I'm just saying, as a squad, changing the complete tide of battle in an actual Battlefield game, there's nothing better, man. The adrenaline rush, the dopamine hit is second to none for me. I love that, man.
Oh, same. 100%. 100%, man. Such a special game. And so, Fuzz, what
Mhm.
class are you rolling with, brother? What's going to be your go-to?
If I can get early enough in the game, pilot. Like I always love flying the
Ooh.
helicopters and the planes. Like
Oh, Fuzzy, we
I,
love you.
I played so much flight sim stuff and war, jet stuff that usually that's like my go-to. And like I said, if I run out of missiles, I still want to be able to use that thing to kind of take somebody out or take a squad out. But yeah, that was always my thing. So yeah, I have to look out for the engineers or jets when I'm in the helicopter. But yeah, I just love doing that type of support, being able to peek behind the buildings, come out, take out the squad as they're trying to bound around or something along those lines. But that's mainly what I did for 4. Tried doing some of that for 2042. Did not like the. I guess they had like a knockoff of the F-22 or F-35 in it, and it didn't play quite like I expected. But yeah, I pilot if I can get it. Otherwise, I'm just another guy with either an assault rifle or an LMG. I try to do suppressive fire stuff, but it doesn't always seem to work. Maybe it's just because I'm at a low point as opposed to higher ground. It's usually a lot harder for me to get higher ground when I have the LMG because it's one of those things where it's like, all right, they already took the high point, so it's like unless I can find a way to jump out of the helicopter and be at the high point and do something along those lines, then that's usually about the best way I can do it. But pilot if I can get it. That's what I always try and go for right off the rip.
Yeah, I was never good with the crafts. I was never good with this with the planes and the helicopters, but
No.
I would ride the hell out. I tell you that if so, finding somebody that actually was a good pilot is like finding a lottery ticket. If you found somebody that was a great pilot, let me send you a friend request right away because I need you on my team, especially back in the day. Man, finding a good pilot, man, they could single-handedly turn the tide of a game. I've seen it 1,000 times. One pilot come through that knows what they're doing, dropping people off, clearing points, and completely dominate the game. So once again, no Pong, that leads you back to what we've been saying. The reason why Battlefield is special. You don't get these moments in any other game. It's not like Halo, it's not like Call of Duty. It makes it a very, very special experience, and it looks like a strong emphasis on looks like everything we know so far, everything we've read and seen, that they've nailed a lot of those little small important things that we hope that they thought about. So we're gonna get more of this. Obviously, the beta is coming. It's gonna be a big fucking deal, and we're all gonna be playing the hell out of it. I can see it now. I think it's gonna do massive. Any predictions on like sales? So say for instance, I'm gonna throw this out there too. I want to get you guys quick prediction. So first month sales, what is Battlefield doing? Battlefield 6 is doing first 30 days later. Where is it at as far as sales? We're gonna start with you, Logan. I need a prediction.
I actually was underselling Battlefield like a couple weekends ago on XEP. I was underselling Battlefield 6 because I was coming from the mentality of like, okay, well, 2042 did bad, so I can't imagine that it's going to do this well. But they're hopeful, so I don't know. I thought that it would be better for them to kind of get out of Ghost of Yotai's way, and some of the other games that are coming out in October. After seeing the presentation that they put on for Battlefield, I'm going to be really surprised if they don't get close to 2 million in the first couple of weeks. I don't know, like generally, like what would be a good number to hit for them, but I do think that this has a real opportunity to sell really, really well, especially depending on how these first beta weekends go. And the fact that they're doing these beta weekends so far out from the actual launch already tells me like they're looking at the analytics for what they're going to need to support when it comes to the actual launch. Because whatever the beta hits, if they get the analytics from that and take a look at it, then they're going to like, okay, well, we should plan on this because a lot of people probably aren't going to pre-order and a lot of people are probably going to buy it day of, and we want to make sure that the servers are ready for that. So they're doing everything from this latest presentation. They're doing everything right when it comes there. So I'm hoping that it sells well for them, just to give Battlefield fans something that is worth talking about and having some competition for Call of Duty, like Pong said.
Absolutely.
I don't have a good number for you, but I hope it does well, all things considered.
So me and Fuzz were talking about this pregame. We were in a party chat on Xbox before the show. and I threw out. I'm thinking like 10 mil. I think that's how
Oh wow.
big it can be. So I know
First
that
30
sounds
days.
crazy. First 30 days. First 30 days.
Yeah.
So that's just I know it might sound a little crazy. I'm talking across all platforms, not a single platform. Yeah, right. Across all platforms, but I think it can do upwards of 8, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in that range, like the first 30 days. If it lands how I think it can land, I think that's fairly safe. Like I mean, Ready or Not did 2 million in a week. And that had that, not to say that that did it for different reasons. All I'm saying is that a capable 800,000 people watching on Twitch on a Wednesday or Tuesday. Right? Like I don't know how to scale that, but that's pretty significant, all things considered. Especially coming off 2042, they shouldn't have like the good feeling I have around this game almost shouldn't exist. That's how good they've done so far, because 42 was basically a disaster, right? For all intents and purposes for what it was supposed to be. So for coming off of that game to what they're delivering now or going to is a night and day difference. And I really think that they can push crazy numbers in that first 30 days. I'm thinking like 8, 9, something crazy like that across all platforms. But Pong, where you at, man? Am I too high? You think crazy for that, or?
No, I'll throw some facts at your way that supports where you're going here. 2042 was reported at just over 4 million, about 4.25 million copies in the first week. Now, it came out later that was with the 10-hour trial, people trying the 10-hour trial on EA Play, right? So, but that was a huge disappointment as far as the game goes. Let's go back to Battlefield 5, right? Battlefield 5, which launched and also was getting flack prior to launch, and then had a terrible launch itself. The spawns points in Battlefield 5 were broken for the first 2-3 months. Okay. Maybe even longer than that. I don't remember when they actually patched them. Completely broken. That sold, it launched November 20th of 2018. That sold 7.3 million copies by the end of 2018. So just over a month. So if this hits, and again, I know a lot of people jump ship and said, we're never coming back to Battlefield. And there will be a portion of those people that stick to their guns and don't come back to Battlefield early. But I think if this hits and people really, and there's going to be problems. There are always going to be launch problems. It is what it is. It's not going to be a perfect launch. But again, if Zampella hits 75 to 80% of Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, and people start talking in that manner, a continuation of the hype that we've heard, and people are going, sure, it's got its issues, but my God, the moment-to-moment gameplay is 3 and 4, like through and through. Like we are just having a blast. It's got its problems, but they're going to work on it. The 9 maps are killer. We got Portal. They're bringing that Battle Royale shortly, all that good stuff. I think that you're spot on. I said this on Saturday. I said between 7 and 10 million as well. PTK for the first 30 days. I think personally, if the beta goes over well, I think that with pre-orders, if the beta goes well and everybody comes out of the 2 weekends of beta going, holy shit, Battlefield is back, I can't wait. I think then first week you could be looking at 5 million plus. I think there's and potentially round out the month at a higher than 10 million. Because I think there is a large group of first-person shooter fans who have been waiting for Battlefield to come back. Battlefield presents completely different than most other shooters, and I just think that those two things combined with Zampella and what his team has done here, I think you could push it where you could see old school fans, new school fans, and everybody jump in just to be a part of the conversation and to be a part of that initial wave of multiplayer and really get that full-blown experience. So I think it's possible that we could be talking about more than 10 million in the first 30 days if everything hits, if they do this right and stick the landing.
I agree. I think that's not too crazy to me. So glad to see that we're on the same page with that one, because I had to think about it for a second. But no, absolutely, and it tracks even historically, like you said. You pulled up the numbers. So, and this is probably the most well-received Battlefield in the last, I mean, probably since Battlefield 1 set of. Well, Battlefield 1 was well received. It didn't land, but it was
well received, but by a small group of people because of the old school nature of it. Like I liked Battlefield 1, but I'm not a Battlefield 1 stan because the weapons and the vehicles,
muskets.
They were cool, but they just was like after a while, and, the saber play was dope, right? All that stuff. And the horses were awesome. There was cool things. but it doesn't hit like a modern military shooter.
Yeah.
Like there's just something like that that just you can't replicate anywhere else, and I think that's the reason why. So I think that this one being set in a more up to date, current, obviously, just a little bit into the future, kind of modern setting, really pushes this one over the top if they stick the landing for sure.
Nice.
Yep.
All right, Fuss. So kind of get your opinion on. We talked about this too. So chat,
Yeah.
let me know as well too. What do you guys think Battlefield 6 can do first 30 days? What you guys looking at as far as numbers? I'd like for you guys to let me know in the comment section. But Fuzz, I know we talked about this a little bit pre-show. Where you at? Just I know me and Pong landed somewhere between 7 and 10 mil the first month.
Quick.
Go ahead.
Just real quick. I just looked it up. Now again, these stats you never know about sales stats. Supposedly Battlefield 1 lifetime is 25 million, which is the highest out of all of them, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, it's insane.
But that is Battlefield 3 is second at 17 million and Battlefield 4 is at 14.8 million. Just to give you some context, Fuzzy. Just to give you some more context. I can't.
That's why I said at the time I believed it was the most liked trailer on YouTube ever. As far as a video game trailer, I believe at one point it broke a bunch because think about it. That same year, Call of Duty had the most disliked trailer. That same exact year, and we thought, okay, here it is. Battlefield finally got their opportunity to kind of not take its place, but kind of step up. Now Call of Duty is down, so people were sold. There was a ton of people that were on board for Battlefield, and that clearly I didn't even realize it was that goddamn 25 is crazy. That's one that seemingly people forget about a lot of times. People don't really talk about it much, but it's the highest selling Battlefield. That's crazy. Go ahead, Fuzz.
No, I think this could reach lifetime like in the 20 mil range, but like I would say just short of something catastrophic, it's I think with the hype behind it right now, it's going to reach at least 6 mil in the first month, but I think the servers are going to hold up. I think the open betas are going to prove fruitful for them, and they'll reach more than 10 mil within the first 30 days. Beyond that, it might take them 6 months to get to that 18 to 20 mil range, but a war simulator that is not a true tactical war simulator will do numbers these days. Like I know everybody's like, hey, Beavis and Butthead and Call of Duty and stuff, and that works for some, but for those of us that want something that is a little more tactical, it feels more grounded in reality kind of thing, I think this has that potential. And I think I got to double check to see if this is coming to PC, because if this is coming to PC, I think PC by itself will do 5 or 6 mil without any question.
Battlefield 6? Yeah, it's coming to PC.
Yeah. So
yeah.
This stands a very good chance of hitting 10 mil in the first month, if not more. PC will probably eat this up more long term, just for the fact that they want something that's not as serious as Squad. And I forget the name of the other one right now that I got on my wish list on Steam. But I think this thing sees close, if not 20 mil in its lifetime, or within, I would say within the first year, if not the first 6 months. It's that time for this type of game. Squad tactics, modern day, not too overly futuristic, no robots and stuff like that, or jetpacks and things. I think this stands a chance of doing decent numbers, provided that the open betas go well. And like Pong said, there will be some issues or game glitches or whatever, but if they are on top of it as far as patches and whatnot, not forgetting things like scoreboards from get-go kind of deal, which it doesn't look like that's going to be an issue.
They're already there. They're already there for us. Thank gosh.
Yeah. So this one will probably give EA a eye-opening insight into what their player base wants out of Battlefield. And if those customization things within the portal pan out, I mean, it looked promising for 2042. But I think other issues prevented people from really diving in as much as they could have. But, you could have full-on battles, although I'm not sure what the numbers are going to be, if it'll just be 50 versus 50 kind of deal at that point. But, I see this doing much better numbers than 2042. I expect this to be at least where Battlefield 4 was, if not better.
Nice. Agreed. I agree 100%. 100%. So game looking amazing. Go ahead. Paul, you got something to say?
I was daydreaming here. I always do this when we're having these conversations because I'm thinking to myself, listen, EA doesn't want, for whatever reason, Zampella and his team to go back to Titanfall, even though Apex Legends is alive and well in that universe. If he does this and he pulls this out and this becomes their biggest battlefield and their most celebrated battlefield in over a decade, and he basically will have the golden ticket to do what he wants to with this franchise at that point. Once if he goes, fine, you won't let me make Titanfall, I'm going back to Battlefield 2142, which had mechs in it. And he brings back 2142 to this degree with destructibility, with mechs and everything else. Not full Titanfall, but I'm just saying, like, he goes, okay, I'm bringing back the big guns in this one because people want it. And people loved Battlefield 2142, which was PC only. That's why it doesn't get any love because, again, you had to be on PC back in the day to be playing it. It never came to console. Steel was playing it back in the day on his PC. So, but I was just daydreaming that if Zampella does this and he pulls this out and this becomes the biggest Battlefield, even if he doesn't hit the 100 million mark, obviously, but even let's say he does get to that 20 million plus mark, man, would it be good if he just said, screw you guys, I'm bringing back mechs then in 2142. We're going back. God, that'd be so good, man.
That would be crazy. I love the headcanon. And this is what you'll get at the Shop Podcast, man. I love it, dude. So you never know where this will end up at, but you're right. I mean, he pretty much is a golden goose. They pretty much handed him the keys at this point. He's in charge of all, first-party games and all directives. So he's pretty much in there as far as we know, as far as being able to, pull the trigger and make these games. So you're right. If they land this, there's no reason why they wouldn't just say, here you go. Here's my parking spot. Here's my desk. Here's my office. Go ahead and take all of this because, you basically turned this company around. But I wanted to get in something else. It's kind of on the other end of the spectrum. I want to talk a little bit about Bioshock, unfortunately, and some of the things happening here. So I got a quick article. It's from Bloomberg. They just put out an article recently, and basically it says a new report has shed some light on the future of the Bioshock series, and it includes some concerning news. According to Bloomberg, the new Bioshock game that was first announced in 2019 from developer Cloud Chamber failed a review. While plans for a remake of the first game have been scuttled, basically they shelved the remake or remaster that they were working on. The report said the new Bioshock's game narrative was identified as an area that was particularly in need of improvement. A source told the site that the narrative will now be revamped. So, Logan, not sure how big of a Bioshock fan you was, but it was a beloved franchise. It was right up there historically with the Mass Effects, the Halos, as far as like how sacred it was and how good of a game it was at the time. It was groundbreaking, that first Bioshock. There was not an experience like that on console at all. So where you at on this news of that it needs to be revamped and that internally the story maybe wasn't as compelling as we hoped it would be?
It's one of those weird areas in my life where I never got to experience the Bioshock games. So they're still kind of like a mystery to me. And the only information I know about Bioshock is something about Big Daddy and that Infinite was really popular. And that's about as much about Bioshock as I am savvy about. So for me, it's interesting to see this because I know it's a beloved franchise. I know that tons of people have cut their teeth on what gaming is because of these games. So I'm bummed that development's not going well and that the remake was shelved. It's a shame to see when things don't go well for the fans that are hoping for a return to form when it comes to the Bioshock series in general. Pong just talking about Titanfall 3 being possible if Vince can get the go ahead, get the green flag. It's so many of us have those franchises that we would love to see kind of brought back into the limelight and actually shown some care and attention to. I know Ains over at Season Gaming for some reason has this huge massive love for Banjo-Kazooie and I can't convince him otherwise.
That love is so weird. That whole fan base, that small little group is such a weird group, bro. I'm the same, Logan. Every time I hear it, I'm like, bro, how many people would honestly go buy a new one? Realistically, you guys are a very small group of people, man. I don't get it, man.
It's so funny to me, but I totally respect. Like everyone has one of those franchises.
Absolutely.
Mine's more like TV and film. Like you ask me, like if there was a franchise that was getting a little bit of love, just like a little bit, and things were going well and promise was being shown, would I stand for that franchise? Heck yeah, I would absolutely stand for like Gargoyles or Tron Uprising to make a comeback for something like that. Or even I'll give a game relevant one. Heroes of the Storm is just recently, like, it's a MOBA and it's Blizzard's MOBA, but it's one of my favorite. And it started to get patches, and the patches came more frequently. And now the patches are starting to include like balance changes and actual new talents for heroes that haven't been touched in the last 5 to 7 years. And you're just like, wait, is this happening? Or is it coming back? So when I hear like that things aren't going well for Bioshock, I try to put myself in the shoes of fans that are in love with Bioshock, and I'm like, oh, this has got to be heartbreaking for them, because they were excited, they were looking forward to it, and this is just like they're quietly told to just sit back down and wait, because it's not going to happen. And I'm just like, I feel for them, man. I hope they get a win, but with, studio heads being removed as development struggles, if the remake is being can't, like, that just sucks. That's never fun. That it means that there's something that just wasn't working, and the fans are going to have to wait even longer.
Yeah, no, 100% true. It's unfortunate, especially like you said. I know you're not as familiar with as some of us with Bioshock, but 1,000% true. It is one of the most beloved games. A lot of people have there are moments with that game, much like a lot of other video games that shaped our childhood or just when we were younger. That was a game that like had a lasting impression on people in general, gamers, as well as the video game industry. You see a lot of, kind of Bioshock like spinoffs, not spinoffs, but like elements in other games, right? So hell, Judas is coming out, right? That's actually from the people that originally made Bioshock. So we're getting that game very soon. So, if you don't get the Bioshock, you kind of get Judas, you're going to get something Bioshock like, essentially. So, even they're still making a game that's much like this 20-year-old game that we used to enjoy. So it is unfortunate. And once you said, I don't know if they they went in great detail. I do know somebody was let go. Somebody left or was let go. I believe it was the head, Logan, of that Cloud Chamber studio. I believe somebody walked away.
Yeah, that's what I remember reading.
Yeah.
I was trying to pull up an article while we were talking about it to see if I could grab the name of who was actually let go, but that was what I remember from a couple of the articles that came out, and I think it was Ken Levine, who was the writer and creative director.
Ken Levine's been gone for a very
he's been gone for
long
a
time.
while.
He's the original creator. And he's the one making Judas right now.
Yeah, that's his thing,
okay.
making Judas.
Yeah.
I found it. Okay, so PC Magazine has the article that Bloomberg reports says that in progress game recently failed a review by 2K executives, leading to the removal of studio head Kelly Gilmore and shift the creative director Hogarth de la Plante to publishing role, as well as planned overhaul of parts of the game itself.
Yeah, see, that's a lot of creativity button heads there. Sounds like there's a lot of people that didn't like where the game was going. The pencil pushers, the people that are writing checks, probably didn't like what they saw. Obviously, the thing that sticks out is the failed a review. What is that? What does that even mean for a video game? Like a first run through, like the first. Anybody know what failed to review means specifically? Is that like just the first look at the game?
Yeah, it's an internal review where they play through it, right? So
yeah, I would hope golden silver lining on this one. If I want to just toss it out there as a potential, if the executives are saying that it failed an internal review, my positive outlook would be that, okay, maybe that's because they're looking out for the Bioshock fans and they want the game to be true to form as to what Bioshock at its core is, and who was in charge of it was pulling the franchise in a direction that they didn't want Bioshock to go. But that is my very kind of silver lining around that. And that it's not that them just wanting to have like a live service Bioshock with microtransactions and season passes. So who knows?
Got it. So let me throw this to you, Pong. Just get your opinion on this, man. Once again, a beloved game. Like I said, it was, right around the time the Mass Effects, the Halos, all these games that shaped our childhood. It was right up there with those games. I believe it won Game of the Year, and I think the game came out, was it, what year was that? It was, I can't remember specifically the first Bioshock, but I believe it was a Game of the Year winner as well.
06, I think.
06, I believe, yeah.
I'm pretty
Somewhere
sure.
around there. It was a very, very popular game, and it changed.
07.
07.
Yep.
Mind you, that's the year that everybody says is one of the greatest years in video game
of
history, and Bioshock was the Game of the Year that year. So if that didn't tell you how much of an impact the game had at that time, when Call of Duty was at its peak, Halo was at its peak, all these other huge games were peaking, and that was still the Game of the Year. But go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, first things first. Logan, I implore you, if you ever have a time where you got time, right? And I know you always got something to play, and we all do at this point. But if there ever comes a time where you say to yourself, yeah, I'm not really feeling the itch for anything, I implore you to go pick up the Bioshock trilogy. And I implore you to play through it. It is one of the greatest of all time trilogies ever created in video game history. It was itself influenced by System Shock, which both 1 and 2 have now been remade. And people should go back and play the System Shocks as well to see the beginning origin story of Bioshock. But Ken Levine and what his team did with the entire trilogy, there is something that everybody's going to have their favorites out of that trilogy, right? Not everybody can agree upon their favorite, but that goes to show you that there is something to love out of each and every single one of those. The first one changed gaming in a lot of ways, story-wise, forever, right? That one of the greatest twists ever written, potentially probably the greatest twist in history of video games. There's only a couple other ones I can think of that would match it, right? So I implore you, first and foremost, to go play that trilogy. It is worth your time to go even, struggle with the older controls and stuff.
I've got a few of them. Yeah, I think I just checked. I've got Bioshock 1 and 2 remastered and Bioshock Infinite through Epic. So shout out to them for those games.
Perfect. I would implore you to go play them. Because that's how good they are. That's how it's like me. It's like when I told Steele he should absolutely go play Mass Effect. Right. It's just one of those trilogies you have to play. Like you should play. Anyways. For me, I've never been holding my breath on this Bioshock. This is much like BioWare. This is much like, BioWare is just a name now. The people that are there are not the originals. This is Dragon Age all over again to me. You're never going to recapture this magic, or at least even if you get a piece of it, it's never going to live up to the original trilogy because you lost the creative mind behind it in Ken Levine. So I've never been holding my breath. As much as I want Bioshock to come back, as much as I've looked forward to all these years. Listen, this Bioshock 4 has been around now for what, 6, 7, 8 years now.
Yeah,
we've been hearing about this. I was not going to hold my breath. And after seeing what happened to Dragon Age, again, the writing nowadays at a lot of these dev studios, leaves much to be desired. I'll just put it nicely here. I've had my rants about modern day video game writing, and I'm afraid that's exactly what happened here, to Logan's point, that 2K saw kind of like the final, pretty close to the final story outline and the story and where it was going to go and how it was written, and probably saw what Dragon Age went through and said, yeah, no, this ain't going to cut anywhere close to the mustard of what the original Bioshocks were, which was extremely mature, adult, serious writing. Like it was a movie quality script in the original Bioshocks. And so good news is, like Logan said, that they didn't just throw it out there and just say, here you go, here's your Bioshock 4, enjoy everybody, much like they did with Dragon Age. So I'm happy for that part of it, but I was never holding my breath here. The next Bioshock is Judas for me, and it's Ken Levine, okay? Judas is going to be the spiritual successor to the Bioshock series. Ken has already, openly said that. Ken has taken his sweet time with Judas. Judas has been in production for about 6, 7, 8 years as well. There's plenty of stories about Ken Levine as a leader. People have a hard time with him. He is the old school video game leader, and some people don't like working with him, and there's plenty of stories about that. But once Judas does finally come, that's when I get excited, because I've been excited for Judas ever since I found out that that's Ken Levine's baby, and this is going to be the spiritual successor. So I'm glad they make the decision to do this. They'll eventually probably still put out this game. I'm not holding my breath. If it comes out and it's good, great. It'll just be a bonus to me at that point, but I'm not going to hold my breath at all for the Bioshock to return. I can't believe, honestly, that 2K is even doing it. The bigger loss to me here is the full remake of number one. Why? Maybe they got scared off by EA and Dead Space, but this was easy cash money to me. Like, again, I don't understand. There are so many of us out here who would go back, even though we've played Bioshock multiple times over the decades. I would go back in a heartbeat and play Bioshock remake, as long as they treated it the way that Capcom treats their Resident Evil remakes, the way that Dead Space was treated over at EA. I would go back, and I'm sure it would sell millions. I just think that was easy money that they just canceled. I'm sad. I'm sad that part is not going to happen, because I would love to see them actually redo the entire trilogy, even though they all hold up, and the remasters are fairly well done. There's some bugginess to some of the remasters, but they're still worth it. But I would love to see a full-blown remake. That's the biggest loss to me here.
No, I agree, 100%. It's unfortunate too, and once again, Pong, I add another game to the list, right? Unfortunately, we don't know the exact reason, but it sounds like it absolutely was creative, right? Somebody didn't like what one, with the direction that the game was doing, story wise, creatively. It didn't hit whatever inner, structure that they had planned for it. Once again, that's sounds like bad communication to me, right? I mean, it sounds like y'all should have been having a conversation about what you guys wanted out of the game, right? From an outside looking in, it sounds so simple. It seems like, why don't y'all just figure this shit out and get the game out anyway? But once there's a lot of money and time involved and contracts and things like that and deadlines, sometimes that shit gets lost in the shuffle, unfortunately. And like you said, that remaster probably would have printed money. Remasters, Yoshida let the cat out the bag. He told us already.
Yeah.
Those remasters print money. When they're done right, they print money for the company. And that definitely would have sold at least a couple million. I mean, hell, you're not getting any sales at this point. So, I mean, any additional sale would be a positive.
These are the common sense things where I shrug my shoulder. Like EA saying Dead Space remake was a failure and they're not going to do 2 and 3. I just looked at it and I go, what are you guys talking about? Like, there's no way that was a failure. Like, you guys sold 2.5 million, I think, copies, which, sure, maybe you could say that you were looking for 5 to 7. Okay, I get that. But at the same time, your franchise is beloved. Everybody loved it. It was critically acclaimed for the remake that you did. It's a win to keep that series alive. And I just don't understand that decision from the heads. Like, that's when I look at these AAA studios and I'm like, there's just people who don't understand gaming in general. It's just purely money. It's just purely a business move, period, point blank. And they're missing out on easy fan wins. That's where I go, why? Just do it. Anyways, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're 100% true. No, 100% true. So looks like we wrapped up those specific topics. But chat, if you guys got any particular questions,
Fuzzy didn't get to talk about Bio.
Oh, I'm tripping. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Look, listen.
No, that's fine. No, I agree with you guys as far as like with they would have been better off just doing the remasters. Like, I think one of the things that these big publishers don't do is look at how well received some of the remasters are and where they could possibly take the series from that point moving forward. Good example, like Pong said, Capcom with Resident Evil. But just about any other beloved title doing a remaster would make sense. But then again, you have to look at the parent company of the parent company. 2K is owned by Take-Two, who does a terrible job sometimes when it comes to remakes and remasters. The exception being with Mafia, when they did the remasters for that was great. The remasters for San Andreas and I think it was Grand Theft Auto 3 and something else they did, it was like they totally crapped the bed on those. But that was, probably them trying to do the quick money thing as opposed to taking their time. Taking their time with a Bioshock 1 remaster would have probably got them some numbers that they would be happy with. But then again, I guess it's good that their internal tests showed that it wasn't up to their standard to some extent. And that being said, a lot less turmoil with that franchise. But Levine's game, with Judas. I guess that'll be what people have to look forward to. Hoping it goes better than the Callisto Protocol versus Dead Space type of deal, but I feel that this will probably, Judas will probably land a bit better. Although I have noticed a graphical detail change from like the initial trailers up to now with the ones that they showed earlier this year. But aside from that, it's a shame that Bioshock won't have a new one to the series, but a remaster is what they probably need to do. Give it the modern day visuals, some quality of life improvements, and you probably have a good 3 or 4 million sales, or probably even more, without having to invest that much into the remaster aspect. But 2K, Take Two, sometimes don't always make the best decisions. Like another thing that I've heard in the background that they kind of dropped the ball on was a what do you call it? Dubs or like the street racing game that they had back in the day. They were supposed to bring that back, and it's seeming like that's stuck in limbo as well. So I guess all of their focus now is on Grand Theft Auto, the parent company being focused on that, and the annual sports games. Anything outside of that just isn't going to cut it, because it's not going to see the same volume or numbers and stuff. So it is what it is.
No, for sure. No, I 100% agree. Like you said, it's just sometimes the most obvious answers, at least they feel like they're obvious to us. We're not in these boardrooms. We don't have any attachments. We don't own any stocks. Some of us, maybe Fuzz does. You never know. Fuzz might be sitting on some stocks over there, but most of us have no ties or connections, and this stuff feels obvious, Fuzz. And it's crazy that like these things don't happen, and the fact that remaster is just a victim of the larger Bioshock that was being created. The new one is crazy, right? Like, how does that happen? You know what I mean? But like you said, time, resources are eaten up, and you can't recoup those things when you're not putting anything out worthwhile. If it's not hitting deadlines or hitting whatever template that they had set forth for the game, then I mean, what can you do, right? Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
true.
But all right. So yeah, man, let's get into something else too, chat. If you guys had any additional questions, man, that was a great topic. But shout out to everybody who's been in here. Fuzzy Tomato, Decado, I saw Dreadpool, I saw a bunch of other people in here as well too. Everybody hanging out with us. Target Lock, you guys have been so fucking amazing. Hit the like button. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. But man, anything else on the docket that we didn't get to, Pong Fuzz?
Just to touch on what Target Lock that made mention earlier on, like with Black Myth Wukong, I don't think we see a gameplay trailer until like a week before its release. If they're saying 60 frames, it'll probably reach 60 frames on both the Series X and S. But I'll be honest with you, considering how it plays on PlayStation right now, I don't recommend that for anything less than a PC with like a 30 series card. That's just me being honest with you. Like, I got a refund for it on PlayStation. Haven't really touched it beyond trying it on my Steam Deck, which unless you turn things down like to 30 frames and turn off a lot of the the eye candy stuff as far as the visual stuff. Yeah, this game was not optimized for console. It's a PC game that they're forcing on the console, and the result is it doesn't lock at 60 frames on any device outside of PC with a beefy CPU and GPU. But we'll see. I've heard before the whole contract issue and whatnot that it was having more issue with the Series X than S, but that was early on, and I couldn't understand why it would have that, especially if these people didn't seem to know how to downcode for the Series console using the dev kit. But then again, there was also similar mumblings going on about the PS5 port that they were doing as well, where it was shutting consoles down, which I think that actually even made it to its launch, where some of the PS5s were cutting off after about an hour of gameplay and stuff. I think they've patched it since, but this game is meant to be played on PC, at least for now. Maybe next generation console hardware, it'll play a bit better. It's not. It's probably not as bad as the experience on Xbox One and PS4 with Cyberpunk, but it's probably not too far off. And like I said, that's even on the PS5 right now. So it is what it
All
is.
right. I do have a last question before we wrap the show up, man. Shout out, like I said, to everybody watching. Appreciate you guys as well as everybody that's going to be watching on the replay. I kind of want to get into this Logan, Pong, and Fuzz just quick before we wrap the show up here today. The domination, I guess you could say domination is the best word, of PlayStation sales chart in July, with Xbox having what, 5 of the top 6 games or 6 of the top 7,
6 of the
something
top
along
10.
those lines, 6 of the top 10. Which is crazy. 5 years ago, you asked me that question. I'm saying no way. Like, that's never going to happen. But here we are in this day and age. So, Logan, just want to get your quick opinion, because once again, there was a lot of opinions when Xbox announced that they were going to be going the more third-party route with their first-party stuff and putting more of those games everywhere. Now, not everything's going over, but a lot of stuff has. But it seems to be paying off, right? A little bit more. It seems that people seem to be getting used to the idea of games being other places rather than just their particular plastic box. So what do we do with that information that Xbox has dominated that chart this past month?
I think it's fantastic that that Sony fans are getting access to the cream of the crop when it comes to Xbox's titles, and if they want to continue paying full price for these games, they're more than welcome to. I enjoy these day one Game Pass on my consoles and on my PC, so I'm not too worried as far as like them wanting to push more content over. I say go for it, get the money if that's where you're gonna do. If it can do anything to keep game prices down as far as like Game Pass goes as a service, have at it. But it's amazing to me to see just how many of Xbox's like titles have made it over, and we still haven't even seen some of the iconic franchises like Halo and Gears make their way over. We're just talking like the good quality games. So I'm seeing obviously stuff from ZeniMax is going to be multi-platform for the most part, like existing IPs that they talked about when they were doing the acquisition with ABK. But to see stuff like Sea of Thieves, to see stuff like Forza Horizon and stuff come over and do well is just exciting, because it means that more people are getting interested in these franchises. And as personally, as someone who makes a podcast purely about Sea of Thieves, having more people jump into that world just means that there's going to be more fans of it, which means I'm going to have more people that I can talk to and enjoy that kind of experience with, and they'll come with their fresh perspectives and stuff. So it's awesome to see people enjoying content from other ecosystems for once, without the sense of like, oh, this is it's one of those things where there's a stigma because your controller's different or your color's different from the box that I'm using. It's like on PC, we don't care, we, especially me, like I was just this episode checking to see what launchers got what games. Because do I actually have Bioshock? Because I probably do, because I know it was good and I picked it up for free from some daily thing or some Twitch thing or something like that. And sure enough, it's like, yeah, it's like just play games, just enjoy the games, and worry less about the religious kind of stigma behind like, oh, well, who's playing on what system. And then honestly, like look yourself in the mirror and just decide like, is this the hill you want to die on? So I'm excited that Microsoft's getting these sales numbers. It proves that the strategy is good. And if it works well for Microsoft, it's clear that Sony's looking at this and saying, hey, exclusivity may not necessarily be the be all end all. If we're doing well on hardware seems to be fine, and it doesn't seem to bother Xbox at all. So if we're going to sell the box to everyone, maybe we could sell the games to everyone else.
It's a good point. It's a good point. Like you said before, everybody has, and I always emphasize this when we have these conversations, Logan, that all 3 companies are susceptible to the same market. They all have to do things, and not everyone has to function the same as the other. And it's always ugly. Xbox tends to be the first over the hill, taking all the arrows, quote unquote, right? When it comes to stuff like this, they tend to be a bit early. Remember DRM? Logan. You know, they
Mhm.
tend to be a bit early on things like that, and they
Oh,
take
yeah.
a lot of flack for it because this is uncharted territory. We just never been here as gamers, right? We've never even had a company think about doing anything like this, right? Outside of like maybe a Sega, but that was almost, they were forced into going third party to keep the doors fucking open, right? They didn't have a choice with the console, the console not doing so well, unfortunately. But yeah, this is it's cool to see people finally realize, Logan, in real time, my gaming experience does not change because somebody else gets to play it.
Yeah.
Right? Like
100%.
that's the light bulb to me that I enjoy, because that was always my fallback in these conversations. I don't give a shit what evidence you prove. You can bring up the data, the numbers. How is it affecting you as an individual? And I think most of us will come to the same conclusion that it really doesn't affect us at all. And I think that's just people coming to the conclusion that, well, I mean, I still play games the same way every day. Nothing really changed for me. I didn't lose any access. I'm playing with more people than ever, people that I would have never had access to before. So like, you know, where is the drawback here? So I think people are
Mhm.
finally kind of seeing the real benefits, and it would have to be this way. You can't simulate that. You right? You can't put that in a spreadsheet, Logan, and send it out to email and say, "Hey, look, this is what we're doing," and think everybody's going to be pleased. You got to show people and then facilitate, you know, that whole idea. And I think they've done a great job about that, right? So
Yeah.
let me throw this over to you, Pong. We've talked about this many times. Whether what's, you know, doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. Some people just wanted them to stick to their guns and stick to the traditional ways, but obviously they've settled on doing this way, and it seems to be working out pretty decently, at least for now.
Yeah, none of this is surprising. Again, when you're a third-party publisher and you buy a couple big giant publishers yourself, and then you have those games and IP that have been on other places before, this is the way it kind of looks, and this is the way it has always been. Third-party dominates sales charts, so it didn't do. Again, I know the Warriors love this stuff, and I know it's fun for everybody to say, "Ha ha, Nana and Boo Boo, we got 6 out of the 10 sales up there." The two that did, I think, show a little something was Forza Horizon and Indiana Jones. All right, those two, yes, Indiana Jones would have been there anyways. However, what I'm saying is the reception for those two. We have been listening to years of PlayStation fans, and again, I'm only speaking of the community here. Whenever we talk about this stuff, it's the minute community here, but they're loud. But we've been hearing for years and years how Forza sucks, and Forza is nowhere near including Horizon. And why would you play Horizon when you can play Gran Turismo and all that kind of stuff? And it shows up over there and goes to the top of the sales, right? Again, it's something that they've been missing, an arcade open world racer that you can't get anywhere else, and it's the greatest, one of the greatest, if not the greatest car game in the history of video games, franchise wise. And then number two is Indiana Jones, like I said, because all we heard was it's not Uncharted. Who wants to play a first person adventure game? We don't. Why not third person? Who wants to do that? It looks dumb. It looks stupid. It looks this. It looks that. Sure enough, shows up over there, and of course, everybody shows some indie love because it's a great game. And because they pulled off the first person very well. So those two, to me, did point out some hypocrisy, especially from this, this community here on that side of things, and showed that people just want to play great games, right? And great games, it doesn't matter where they come from, who makes them, what they might have been on previously. Great games stand the test of time, and that's what will happen when Sony puts some of their games over on Xbox or on Switch too. It's going to sell because again, they are just gamers want a game. Period. Point blank. So I'll end it there.
Basically, nice. Yeah. Buzz, where you at on this, man? We talked about this before. Once again, it's something we talked about pregame and in the party chat on Xbox, and and once again, this isn't a na or anything like that, but it just no, listen, it's not. You know what I mean? This is factual information. We're not throwing this out there to try and say we told you so, because that's not the case. The case is that this is something that's happening. You know what I mean? This is happening in real time, and people are going to have to get used to this, and it's actually showing up and successfully showing up. And the data's looking good. So like, where you at on this? We talked about it being a Trojan horse strategy. That's kind of been the funny joke around, that they just internally are going to just, they kind of planted everything internally and are going to, thrive that way. And it seems to kind of be working in theory.
Yeah. Well, the first part I just want to address is kind of like what Pong said, when, people would always badmouth Forza, whether it's Motorsport or Horizon. And then all of those that was like, oh, it shouldn't be game of the year, and the Jeff Keighley's of the world and whatnot. But yeah, how's that looking for you guys now? When people would tell them, it's like, hey, it may not be Gran Turismo, but it's a lot more fun and a lot more inviting. Let's just say a lot less grinding to earn what you want in game. But yeah, I kind of knew, and I said a while ago, like when they first did their first 4 going over, I was saying it makes sense, even though I'm not the biggest fan of that whole sharing strategy, that Forza Horizon would be, be one of their better choices to put over there, just for the fact that people will finally get to see what we've all been enjoying. Like, this is somebody that was playing on PS3 and came over to Xbox because Drive Club failed for me. And it was supposed to be a Forza killer. And now they get to see what actually survived and outlived, Drive Club and many other, arcade racers out there. But, the Trojan horse aspect, I guess they can thank themselves for Sony's recent changes in their approach and wanting to, hire people to put more games on other platforms, including the Nintendo Switch and the Xbox console. So, yeah, that, and probably the fact that they couldn't block Steam purchases on the Xbox Ally. But all of that stuff aside, it's great to see that people are enjoying these games. And maybe the console war needs to morph into the front lines within the games, like track times on the racing games, or the front lines in something like Gears, or the multiplayer and stuff like that. So maybe that can be where the console war can live on, kind of deal. But it is great to see that Xbox or Microsoft themselves are having this type of success on that platform, and hopefully enough people pick up Helldivers 2 that we see similar favors return from PlayStation. I kind of expect that they'll look at like titles that are kind of collecting dust that they can't remaster again because they've already done it 2 or 3 times this generation. So yeah, it's great that we're now moving into more of a PC like open platform kind of space. And I think at that point we can all have better conversations on what makes a game good, what what is I guess rinse and repeat versus something groundbreaking and things along those lines, or things that we would like to see come back. There's plenty of types of games from our yesteryear that need to make a resurgence to some extent, but it seems like these publishers are a little risk adverse to go out on a limb and make some of those types of titles. But yeah, it's great to see. I'm totally expecting more to head over and do the same. I don't want Colin Moriarty to be right about Starfield, but oh well. I'm just curious to see if they get new review scores with it being on PlayStation, and what the DualSense will bring to the experience of Starfield. Although I looked at people sideways when they gave bad review scores for it, just for the fact that they knew it was on Xbox and it wasn't coming to their platform, kind of thing, or at least at that point in time. So it'll be interesting to see some people eat crow, and actually it'll be even more interesting to see people enjoy a truly generational game that I think people will continue to play, especially if we can do co-op or multiplayer mods. If Bethesda isn't quick enough to make a Starfield MMO. So yeah, it's great to see. More sales means more games, means the devs stay open, and hopefully more people stay in positions where they're at, kind of thing, to continue making more games and support the games that they've already made. So it's a win-win.
Awesome. Awesome. Great point. And on that note, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap the show up. So shout out to everybody that's watching live. Shout out to everybody that just jumped in. Appreciate all of you guys. And thank you, Thatch. Great show. It is a great show, man. I appreciate that, man. Thank you for the support and love, Thatch. But yeah, everybody that's just coming in, catch it on the replay, man. I will make sure I repost the link a little bit later. But I'm going to go ahead and let everybody get their outros in. First and foremost, like I said, appreciate everybody coming to watch the Shop Podcast 3 weeks in a row now. So we're trying to get back to some consistency. So let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live. We're rebuilding things back up here slowly but surely. So appreciate all you guys and all the love and support. But first and foremost, man, we got to get our guest out of here. Captain Logan, appreciate you, brother, coming through. Great topics this week. A lot of fun stuff to talk about, brother. Glad to see you back in the shop. Glad that you're doing well, feeling well. Things seem to be going very well for you as well. So let everybody know where they can find you. By the way, everybody, I made sure all of his information is down in the description. So go check Logan out. But let everybody know where they can find you, Logan.
First off, thank you for all the things you just said. That was awesome, man. I do a podcast with my co-host Luke Lore, the Insipid Ghost, over at the Xbox Expansion Pass. We do reviews on hardware as well as games that are coming out. My most recent review was Grounded 2, which I was actually really happy to jump into. Shared some time with Ty Guy Travis from IGN and Season Gaming as we were working towards working through that story there. So that was a lot of fun. But outside of that, Luke's got a Wolverine controller review that's coming up soon that he's been spending a lot of time working on. And outside of that, I do Keelhauled, a Sea of Thieves podcast. So Sea of Thieves captured my heart back in 2018. I've been a pirate my whole life, and this is just one of those games that just fulfills that fantasy in a way that I have yet to find in any other pirate game. So I've been making a podcast about Sea of Thieves for the last almost 8 years at this point. And as soon as we get done here, I'm going to start working on notes and building up my next episode to release tomorrow. So thank you so much for letting me come in and sit down with y'all. Fuzzy, Pong, PTK, it's a pleasure as always. I love chatting with y'all. Y'all have some strong points when it comes to the conversation around video games, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to sit in on this.
Well, we appreciate you, man. Once again, like I said, guys, go check Logan out. And listen, he's a Skull and Bones apologist too. No, I'm just playing. I'm not gonna say.
I will. It's 100% a game that people should check out just for the sake of it being like an offshoot of Black Flag. It's just the story is.
Look at that. See, sad. Look at that. Just lost and afraid. Lost and afraid, man.
I just need a life preserver. That's fine.
No, but shout out to you, Logan. Appreciate it, man. Once again, always love having you on the show. Shout out to Luke too, Luke Lore, the other half of XEP. Hopefully he gets a chance to watch the show on the replay, man. But once again, always glad to have you, Luke, coming through. Logan for coming through. Thank you so much, brother. Always a big part of the show. We love having you here, man. So you guys go check Logan out. The podcast, the Twitch, everything, all of that's linked below, man. Do me a favor and go show some love, man. But let me throw this over to my brothers, man. Mr. Pong, so another show in the books. That's 3 weeks in a row. I think it's the first 3 weeks span we've done in probably 4 or 5 months. So it feels good to kind of be working out on a regular basis now, brother. But a great show, great guest. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great way. Again, I love this time zone. So I'm just having it's great to be back and have everybody and Logan, again, appreciate you so much, brother, for coming on through and giving us your time because I love your thoughts. Yeah, I love your thoughts, man. I love your opinions on this stuff. So great to have you here. Great to hear your voice again, and glad everything's going well for you, man, as you rock on the high seas, brother. So that's good shit over there. Love to hear it. Fuzzy and of course PTK, brothers, love you guys, and it's special to get to talk to you guys each and every single week about the hobby that we all really love. Obviously, we are the enthusiasts, and chat, same goes for you. Just because you're not on the podcast doesn't mean it's any different. You guys are the show. Without you guys, this doesn't happen. So thank you all for being here. Nothing but love and respect for each and every single one of you who support so many different shows, not just this one. So thank you all for being here. Otherwise, you guys know how to find me, Pong Soul everywhere. Otherwise, my week starts on Thursdays over on Fun Speculations Network. And this week,
might be seeing some Battlefield gameplay. We'll see how Mav wants to play it out, but we might be playing the beta over there while doing kind of a show, kind of just having a good time. Otherwise, we might have our regular show. So Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. Be there for Thursday night. It used to be PM in the PM. It's not PM in the PM anymore because Mav's just down to one show, so he took the captain's chair back, and we have the family roll through as they can. Fuzzy gets in there when he can, and obviously Jasper, whoever. Steele's jumped in there. So we don't really have a name for it. Xbox Ultimate, former PM of the PM, Mavcast, best of Thursday night, Super Showdown show. There we go. Whatever you want to call it. So be there on Thursdays, and then Saturday mornings, it's Living Split Screen. Myself, my brother from another, Steel, Rain. This coming weekend, we will be playing Battlefield. So you can join us, hear the laughs, hear the craziness. Him and I will be rocking and rolling on Battlefield beta as long as the servers are up and running and everything's good to go. We will be on the Battlefield beta this Saturday, but Living Split Screen starts at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. We usually go for 3+ hours every Saturday. Take you from your morning to your afternoon to your night, depending on where you are in the world, live, raw, and uncut with all the best gaming news and opinions. But we are gamers first and foremost, and so we will be gaming this next weekend over there on Living Split Screen. And then otherwise, God willing, back here for another Shop podcast next Sunday night. It's the golden age of gaming, everybody. Please get out there and enjoy whatever you're doing. I hope you have a great start to your week. Play what you love what you play, and I'll talk to you all real soon. PTK, get us out of here, brother.
Man, appreciate you, Pong. And once again, you guys know where to go find Pong's information. All of that is down in the description. Love having you here, bro, every single week. The battery of the Shop podcast, I say it, been saying it for 5 years now at this point. So shout out to you, Pong. Love you, brother, for sure. Last but not least, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, man. Another show in the books, brother. I know you missed last week, but a hell of a week to be back, right? We had a lot of shit to talk about, a lot of fun things from Battlefield to Bioshock to, Xbox at Gamescom. Was a great week. So let everybody know where they can find you, Fuzz.
Oh, as always, love doing this every Sunday. I'm sorry I missed out last week. Road trip with the wife. Going to be on the road next week, but we'll be able to do the podcast because we should be back at home in plenty of time to be able to chit chat and do some gaming talk next week. But definitely looking forward to that. As always, love doing podcasts with Captain Logan. Love hearing your thoughts, even though can't convince you to get on Forza like you play Sea of Thieves. But yeah, always a good time having you on, and always love doing the podcast with you, Pong and PTK. At some point, we all need to get back into the division, although I know that's going to play second fiddle with you guys to Battlefield for a bit. But yeah, we'll see what we can do come open beta time. And fingers crossed, everything goes smooth, and definitely wind up pre-ordering at that point. But for those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related or even horror movies related, just follow me on social media. Just do a search for Fuzzy Belvedere. You'll be able to find me. And like I said, every Friday we do, Fright Night with Ferocious Fee podcast. I do it with my wife. That's related or centered around horror movies. Some movies that we participate in or we're not starring, but we might be extras in, or some that we've had producer credits in, and some that we just watch as fans, or that some of our friends may have produced or made and so forth. But just catch us on Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do a search for Fright Night with Ferocious Fee. You'll be able to hear all the details on upcoming movies and whatnot. But everybody out there, play some games, enjoy your free time if you have free time. Attack that backlog before you get overwhelmed before the holiday season comes around, because I think we got still some heavy hitters to be announced or that might be dropping before this year is out. So we'll see. But take care, everyone. Have a good weekend, and PTK, let them know.
And appreciate you, Fuzz. Once again, go check Fuzz out. All of the information is down in the description. Love having you here, Fuzz. You are my brother. Love you. You know that, brother. So you guys always go do show us some love and make sure you go check Fuzz out. But last but not least, the host here, PTK Blam across the board. Check me out. Got a TikTok going now, so I'm doing that, Monday through Friday. Usually got videos out weekly, so check those out. But next week, once again, we'll be back with another guest here at the Shop Podcast. So appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Please be safe. Prepare yourself for the Monday morning and the week ahead. But we'll be back, man. Same time, same place next week. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace out, everybody.